Well, welcome to Family Hour of the Yahowah blog. Your host, Craig Wynn, but we have many other co-hosts with us today. We start off at the top of the screen, actually in his native habitat. That is Kevin. We're told there is a bald eagle on a tree behind him. Now, to see that, you'd have to have really, really keen eyes in this particular program.
Or a better camera.
Or a better camera, one or the other. Is JB below him? I understand you're in a guest cabin that you and your lovely bride with your daughter have visited from time to time in the Smoky Mountains. Is that correct, JB?
I wish I was there. This is just a picture.
Okay, all right, just a picture of it.
Place, so if you ever get a chance.
And by popular demand, we have Will O'Brien back. Good to see you, Will.
Thank you, guys. Shabbat shalom.
Yeah, Shabbat shalom. And my good buddy, Dr. Jeff, obviously at home, more relaxed, not going to have to go off. And, well, the last time you had to leave us about halfway through and dealing with patients and all manner of terrible plights.
Yes, I am stayed. I'm anchored here.
Good. Good. No one's dying to see you today.
No. No.
There are others who are substituted for you. And we have Leo over here trying to fend off two rascally dogs. That is Kara in the chair. And who knows what Wookiee is trying to do around it.
Trying to steal the hello.
Trying to steal it. So who knows how that's going to play out. We don't have our good friend Captain Kirk is not here as of now. I understand that he is coming back from treatment, that he expects to recover to the point where he'll be able to join us in the latter part of our program. So we'll be optimistic for all of that. We are in the midst of a series that we have been referring to as the last Mashal. And Mashal means proverb. It is a word picture. And the last of them is the 31st. And when we turned to it a month or so ago, we found that it said some things that were really surprising. And keep in mind that every one of the Mashal, not everyone, but certainly the major overall overriding theme of the Mashal is to paint pictures with words describing a family. It is typically in the voice of either a father or mother, typically in the father's voice, as husband and wife, who are genuinely real people speaking to their son about how to grow up and live a productive and useful life in conjunction with Yahowah. So that's the theme of most of the Proverbs.
Yeah.
Man and woman, husband and wife, father and mother speaking to their son on behalf of Yahowah, providing instructions. And to a large degree, the 31st is similar to that in that it is a mother, surrogate mother in this case, surrogate father, husband and wife for sure, speaking to the son of sons. Dowd is the firstborn son of God, and he's had a really, really rough patch.
God.
And so it is.
You could say that.
It is primarily a recording of a woman who Yahowah refers to as Amma, the most productive mother, who is also presented as Dowd's mother, who is acclaimed as the Ashar. And Ashar would mean that she is beneficial and blessed and provides all manner of instructions regarding the nature and the path to the relationship. And she's called the greatest of all women for the insights that she provides to Dowd, which include many things, including telling him he needs to sober up. And subsequent to that, because it was a husband and wife team that met with him, God had walked away. God says, I can't deal with you in this state. And when God walks away, he has a means for resolving problems, and his means is consistent. He chooses a soul or souls to intervene on his behalf and to speak for him and to act for him. And that's the way he always rolls, and he is not about to change his tactics at that point or this point or any other point. It didn't even matter that it was his beloved son Dowd who had talked himself out of the relationship and acted himself out of the relationship. I took the exact same approach. Now, the only difference in this case is that from God's point of view, he did bring in his A team, and he double teamed Dowd. So he had the sweetness and motherly charm of Miss Leia and the kaboom of the bull. So he got a double dose. And so
Carrot and the stick.
he did get the carrot and the stick, and the
I
carrot
wouldn't
came.
say that I
came
was
for,
so nice.
well, you were exceedingly nice to him, considering the place that he had put himself,
Yeah.
and telling him he needed to sober up and he needed to stop looking at women as sexual objects and consider the benefit of having a woman you could relate to and trust and have confidence in, and that you were going to get him represented and all cleaned up, and given time, he would restore his relationship with Yahowah. And that left us with a question as to, well,
How did that happen?
How did that happen? Because we know it didn't happen immediately
No.
because of Dowd's 51st Mizmowr, which is the response to Nathan coming to him about the Bathsheba affair. And I'm glad it's over. We worked hard yesterday to make certain that we finished it, and we did. And we're never going back there again. We've covered 2 Samuel 11 and 12, where Dowd went off the rails, and that was some of the most difficult things I ever presented. I wore black every day just because I was like I was attending a funeral of someone that I dearly loved. But we're through that. And what you're going to see here in the 116th is he got the message. And then as we finish this, we're going to go to, well, when the Amma, this productive mother, who is now known as Ashar, got his attention initially, what was it that actually brought Dowd back to Yahowah? And as it turns out, it's the 89th Psalm. And we will turn to it after we have finished this. That will not happen on this program. We don't make that much progress in one of these. Somebody has a tendency to be too talkative. So we won't quite get there.
It might be that talkative stick.
Yep. So do you guys have any impressions on those last shows, whether it be 2 Samuel 11 and 12 as the affair played out and the murder, or Yahweh's rebuke of Dowd for having engaged in these terrible things, or Dowd's response in the 51st Psalm?
Yeah, I thought they were great shows. I liked how it was very, as you say, like PhD material, right? But you were also, through the commentary, able to bring them back around to basic things that anyone watching the video for the first time will be able to understand and take something away from, as opposed to just, wow, well, what is this? Dowd was an alcoholic, and and whole kind of those huge things that mind-blowing things that blow people's mind, but you were able to bring it back around to every day. I mean, you went back to the 5 steps and 5 conditions of the covenant, and that type of thing. And so I thought it was really well presented.
Well, thank you. The goal was to respond to Dowd's words as Yahowah would, which is to criticize them because what he had to say was terrible, and to show what the proper response was, and to turn his heated, depression-fueled, wine-fueled response into a teaching experience. And the other purpose of it was that we can't be naive. We know that rabbis use that incident to disqualify Dowd as a son of God and returning Messiah, returning King
Christians do
and
as
Savior. And Christians justify their need for a replacement for him
Absolutely.
based upon that behavior. And it's all boils down to a failure to appreciate what God is actually looking for, and perfection isn't it. And so it gave us an opportunity to talk about that some, that God's far more interested in us paying attention to what he has to say, responding to him, and then proving ourselves reliable by being able to get back up when we stumble and fall. So he wasn't, I don't think God was so much frustrated by Dowd's malfeasance as he was that he just wallowed in it after that. He didn't want to accept responsibility, didn't want to change, didn't want to learn from it, didn't want to grow as a result of it.
He embraced his vices.
Yeah, he embraced the worst.
Craig, Leah, and fellas, this is the ultimate demonstration of the comeback kid, if you will.
Yes.
It just shows you that from a position of arrogance, petulance, insolence, and just recalcitrance to the point where
Yehuda.
yes, he was Israel at its worst, manifesting evidence of Shaulitis, Paulitis, if I can use that term, and out rabbinicaling the rabbinical type Jews. But the fact that there's redemption, and what we're going to see today in Mizmowr 116 just shows the amazing beneficence of our heavenly Abba.
Yes.
And his compassion and love for his son.
Yeah, rather than Jews or Christians for that matter, trying to degrade Dowd because of his behavior and excluding him from serving in the manner of returning King, Messiah, and Savior. What they should have focused on is what you have shared here, Jeff, is that Dowd represents Israel.
Mm-hmm.
And Israel is ever so slightly better than Goyim with religion and politics.
Mm-hmm.
But it's Israel who has been so belligerent to God. Everything that Dowd said has been said by the rabbis.
And worse.
And worse, yes. So the problem here actually is that Israel is Dowd. Dowd is Israel. And Israel has been embittered towards and acted badly towards, has been murderous to their own and unfaithful with God for 3,500 years. And so what they should see in Dowd is that he became as bad as they are, and yet it was still resolved. And it was resolved two ways: by having a woman who didn't go with the crowd, who wasn't afraid to show that she had a mind and that she would tell the king what he needed to hear.
A woman who could speak to power.
Yeah, and then followed that by the greatest song ever written.
Oh, yeah.
And, Dowd loved to sing songs, loved to write songs. Well, he was outdone with the 89th. And when it was presented to him, and I'm not even sure the ink was fully dry when it was presented to him. And now I know that the timing of it is at least 4 years into his first of 3 lives, not 4 years after, because it's what got his attention. And it was
definitely
that was the ultimate intervention that led to what we're going to read now. So I think that the ultimate takeaway, and Rich, when you have a chance, it would sure be nice to have the thing full screen as opposed to just a little. I can't see really anybody's face when it's tiny that way. Oh, it's so much better. Thank you. That if we view 2 Samuel 11 and 12, which is the Bathsheba affair and the murderous outrage that followed it, and really a lot of other kind of despicable maneuverings along with it. And then Yahowah's story about "You are that man," when he talked about the powerful man and the poor man and the single beloved you and the man with many bulls and sheep. And when God told that story and said, "You are that man," and Dowd's response was horrific. That's Israel. That's where you are.
Yep.
And the thing that was so spectacular, I thought, plain to that in the 51st Psalm was, guess what doesn't appear in the 51st Psalm?
Yahweh's name.
Yahweh's name.
Yahweh's name anywhere. So he wrote a psalm. Normally he would mention Yahweh's name every 2 or 3 lines. He always opens with it. He always closes with it. And he repeats it throughout his Mizmowr. The first thing I noticed when I read through it is God's name's not even mentioned. And Dowd is one who likes to combine wills to show that my will and your will are in sync. We want the same thing. And yet through the whole thing, he was either imposing commands on God or imposing the choices on God, his will. And so it was written very, very differently than anything he'd ever said before.
It's very aggressive.
And it was clearly rabbinical. I mean, it's the rabbis that erased Yahweh's name, that are projecting all manner of themselves, literally projecting themselves on God. And this is the thing that is so destructive.
I disagree. I don't think they project themselves onto God. I think they project themselves over God.
Well,
They're absolute usurpers.
okay. Well, that's true. The rabbis present themselves as more in authority and greater. That's what rabbi means, greater than anyway. Rab means greater. Greater than God. All gods, with the exception of the God, are projections of men.
Amen.
All of them, without exception.
That's
Jesus is the projection of Paul, and Allah is the projection of Muhammad. They're always projections of men, and then by creating gods that are reflections of the men who create them, like Jesus, like Allah, like Hashem. Then those who create those gods are actually over them because they write their script.
That's right.
They comprise their characteristics, and it's
make
funny
it
how
all
they
up.
always end up supporting the people that conceived them and are opposed to those who oppose those who conceived them. That's why if you criticize Paul, which is easy to do because he was an absolute numbskull, the natural Christian response is to follow Paul's lead and say, anybody that criticizes me is satanic, must be Satan. So,
Give me another one. Yeah.
the Quran does the same thing. Criticize Muhammad, well, then you're Satan. It's religion for dummies, but nonetheless, those things prevail. All right, so we had a meeting, and we're going to read what Dowd said in this meeting. And the thing that turned me on to the fact that we need to find out what actually happened to cause Dowd to use this terminology and to speak in this way after the 51st Mizmowr is that so much of what he says is what we have learned and what we have positioned over the years. He comes to conclude exactly who he is, what he's going to do. He knows he's going to go into hell for a heavenly cause. He knows his body is going to die. He's willing to accept that. He's willing to celebrate it. And he didn't figure that out on his own. If he had figured that out on his own, he never would have had the Bathsheba affair. He would not have done what he did or speak out against God. So he didn't know that at 56 years of age when he had his breakdown. And he learned it later. And then we are, I think, compelled to ascertain how he learned it. And
It's
that's what I
amazing.
would draw.
It's amazing, Craig and Leah, that Baal and Ashah basically took Dowd and converted him from Lud to Yehud.
Yeah, it's true. A matter of fact, even in today's parlance, he would have gone from Jew to Yehud.
Yes.
You know, they've got a. Your saying was actually more accurate because the term Jew didn't exist until the 17th century.
Yep.
But nonetheless, that is the problem with Jews today: is they think they're Jews and they don't know that they should be Yehud. And Yehud is ultimately a celebration of Yahweh's name and Dowd's name. Yahud, Yahweh and Dowd. And until that happens, until they recognize they should be Yehud, not Jews, there's no reconciliation. Somebody was boasting in Israel, we have something better than a interceptor for missiles. And they showed a hand and they said, we have God. And, one of our team said, no, you don't. You should have, but you don't.
You walked away.
He left you because you walked away from him, and he ain't coming back until you return to him.
Yeah. Hosea 4:6, shub for shub.
Shub for shub. And we're going to find a little shub. We're going to find a little shub in this testimony. So the fact of the matter is that the 1-2 punch of my wife and I delivered a favorable result with Dowd. I think we stayed around to counsel Solomon. In fact, I know we did because I've read where it says we did. And he took the throne at was he 12 years of age? I think 12 years of age, and he started off fine. I'm going to say that we left him before he went bad because otherwise we did a really poor job. So I think we did an okay job up to a point with Solomon, and then we had to walk away because the whole thing was going to fall apart, and it did.
Well, he knew it and he acknowledged it in his song.
He did. Yeah, he sings the praises in that song. So we ultimately did prevail with Dowd, and that's. I've had 5 shots at this. That was a life worth living. A good man had fallen, but he rose to the occasion. And it's essential to not only process the fact that Dowd fell down, but now he is falling back in love again. He's becoming what his name actually conveys, beloved, Dowd. And in that process, he voiced what we have long proclaimed. He is now willing to say, in fact, he can't wait to say Yahweh's name. So he came a long way. The king opens with an emotional appeal, the most enabling the world has ever known. He says, I am in love. I am in love. Ahab, I am in a close, personal, adoring, and devoted relationship. Call perfect, first person singular. I am in love. Indeed, Yahweh, he has heard my voice, considering me favorably and affectionately. Boy, that's a long way from where we were prior to this. So rather than hating on God, blaming God, he did the one thing that he needed to do most of all. You want God to love you? Love him.
That's right.
How about that for a
say
good...
his name.
Yeah, and so Dowd did. He fell in love again with Yahweh. And indeed, he says that as when he did, Yahweh has heard his voice, my voice, considering me favorably and affectionately again. I came to love God. God came to love me. Pretty simple equation, isn't it? Do you think that God, who created the universe, he pretty much has everything that he wants, and has nothing that he doesn't want, right? Do you think that God's going to choose to spend his eternity with people that don't even like him?
No.
Most likely not.
I don't think so.
No. Yeah. And when if you were to approach a Christian and say God's name is Yahweh, there is no Jesus, God's not a man and God can't die, and bodily resurrection is going the wrong direction. And he's never given up on his people. And he's the actual Messiah is Dowd David. How is a Christian going to respond?
Get behind me,
That's this
Satan.
word.
So you know how to get someone's attention if you admire them? Say their name.
Yeah, that's the first thing you ought to do is say their name. But the point here is that God is not going to have people around him eternally
No.
that despise him. And the fact is that Christians despise him. You tell a Christian anything is true about God and his covenant and his beloved son that enabled it, or his Moed Mikre, or his Torah, or anything about God, right? Beginning with his name,
They lose their mind.
they lose their mind. They hate him. And the same thing is true with rabbis. You begin a conversation with a rabbi and say, oh, Yahweh's view and yours are completely different. God affirms that there is a Shamayim and there is a Sheol. You deny both. God says that Passover is part of Chag Matzah, and you write Chag Matzah out of your life. So you're not even in the same hemisphere as Yahweh. You think that the covenant is a religious thing, and God says it's a relationship thing. You're looking for an unknown Messiah, and God says the Messiah is Dowd. He's the returning king. You're 197 years off on your timeline, and the timeline is really easy to determine and establish. Why? And all they'll do is hate you and hate the name Yahweh and everything else. So the fact of the matter is that God's not going to tolerate religious people around him, because they not only don't love him, they hate him.
No, if you tell a Muslim, they'll just tell you they'll kill you.
I kill you.
Yeah.
I kill you.
So, yeah, I kill you. So this is Dowd with the simple equation. I'm in love. Indeed. Yahweh has heard my voice, considering me favorably and affectionately. That's you return to God, he's going to return to you. You go one step further.
Attaboy.
Fall in love with God, which means you actually need to know him. This is not lust. This is not fatuation. This is a hob. And so genuinely fall in love with Yahweh, which means you have to know who he is. And guess what? God will listen to you. And by the way, this doesn't say I am in love with Yahweh, because there is a key, indeed, between a hob and Yahweh. That's the implication, is he fell in love with Yahweh. But it just says, I'm in love. And then, indeed, Yahweh. So the implication is he fell in love with Yahweh. But, there's a lot of things to fall in love with. I love Yahweh. I love my wife. I love the covenant family. I love the Torah. I love our King. I love life. I love living. I love doing this show. There's lots of things that we can be passionate about, right? And maybe what Dowd found is, I'm in love with the very purpose of my life again.
Mm-hmm.
There's been that old saying that if I love me less than I love you, then I'm really loving you less, because I make it more difficult for you to love me. You ever heard that?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that what Dowd has to say resonates with Yahud globally. That we have been so estranged that when we realize the truth, we're going to fall in love with it. It is so much better than the religious garbage and lies.
Of course. But my point is also true, that Jews are self-loathing.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
They really are. They're self-loathing. And while you are self-loathing, you cannot be in love with God.
No.
And you make yourself impossible to love. And so that's this idea of being in love makes a person more lovable.
Mm-hmm.
And that is essential. So part of the return to Yahweh is that we have to fall in love with life, with who we are, with what we can do, with what we're here to achieve, with his Torah, with his covenant, with his family, with all of this. So I think it's a marvelous way to start. So the beloved son fell back in love with his father and with life and with his purpose. They were on speaking terms again. That's That's a big change from where they were. I mean, going all the way back to 2 Samuel 6 and the escorting of the Ark of the Covenant into Jerusalem when Dowd threw a tizzy fit and disagreed with God's manner of showing how it's going to be done with the bull, and said, I just give up. I'm leaving here. It's your responsibility. I'm out of here. And from that point on, God didn't speak directly to Dowd for a long time. Nope. It was through Nathan, and clearly Dowd was not listening to Nathan. Nathan was way too soft, even though he said, "You are that man." That was pretty rough to Dowd. But the fact of the matter is that he was too soft, and Dowd needed some tough love.
I think Nathan's words were perfect. I think Dowd's attitude was the worst.
Nathan's words were Yahweh's words. Nathan never. I mean, I can't say never, because he did his one time when Dowd was saying, "I'm living in a house of cedar, and there's the ark of Yahweh flapping in the breeze." Or Nathan says, "Well, you've got a good relationship with Yahweh. Do whatever your heart tells you to do." And so that was an opinion of Nathan.
Yes.
One that God quickly shut right down. Said, "No, we're not going there. We are not going there."
Your intervention caused Dowd to do the ultimate 180.
Yes. Yeah, he did the ultimate 180. It was a very effective intervention. I do think this intervention, so that you have a little better frame of reference on it, I think the intervention actually begins with Obed-Edom. When Dowd was right before Dowd would have celebrated his 40th birthday. I think that's when Obed-Edom was brought to the fore and gave Dowd a model of, you can't deal with the Ark of the Covenant, but he can. So there's something he knows that you don't know. And then he watched Dowd's fall, gradual at first and then precipitous. And then when after the coup and Dowd's got, making 3 tracks through the castle, that's when Yahweh says, "Okay, you need to go talk to him. Let's get this resolved." So I think it was actually an ongoing process, and I do think that we hung around to educate him. And when I speak about we, I'm going to provide some pretty compelling evidence that we've been at this for a long time, and this was not our first rodeo with God. It was not our first insertion. Was certainly not our last, and that God figured out an exceedingly clever way to keep his plan and his people on track without intervening with free will. It was absolutely brilliant. And so for those that think, okay, you're writing yourself into the story. No, when you come to a complete appreciation of what he did, it's actually a significant demotion. And I say that because you realize that over that long a period of time to be put in and then pulled out and put in and pulled out, you're just a familiar tool in the toolbox. If you've ever
like
done
an old slipper.
if you ever done carpentry and you got just a tool in that toolbox, it just feels great in your hands and you've always had good results with it. That's kind of what the job is. It's you're God's delivery boy. It's a good gig.
I think he picked 2 people with very reliable characteristics.
God found souls with characteristics he thought he could work with, and by comparison to the others, that may not have been a big deal, but it was enough for him to say, I can work with this soul, and the 2 that are plucked that God says, aha, I like that one. I can work with that one. It's Enoch and Elijah, Chanuk and Eliah. They had whatever it is in terms of attitude and attributes and the like. He said, yeah, I like this one. And I got the lucky straw in this regard because I got to bring my wife along with me throughout all this process. So
Maybe it's because she was willing.
Yeah, maybe she was. Well, she had to be willing, or it wouldn't have worked. This requires.
And you
Yeah.
get better at it each time. Every time as you're introduced throughout the Torah, because you go from Dowd and Dowd, okay, and you get names, and they were just prophesied, okay, but there's no speaking in the Torah for. Then you get Gabriel and Michael, okay, and you get a bit part, Michael has a bit part in there that in Torah.
Yeah.
And
He
explains
what Dowd had to say. Yeah, he explains those prophecies. Right. Yeah. Yeah, you do get better at it, and then now personally, I think that the introduction, that the first one, which is Enoch, Chanok, when I present to you the 6 stages to get there, and what stage that he was in, you'll see that there was actually something going on there that was important for God in the midst of what was the fall of man. To accomplish before the flood, and so but there's no talking role there. It's just the whole thing is set up at that point, and then when you go to the next insertion, which is as my Dowd on behalf of Dowd, when Moshe speaks, Moshe is told him, it's Yahowah ben Nun that is the one who comes upon them, and the two of them are filled with the spirit of Yahowah, and they're prophesying, which means they're speaking for God.
Yes.
And he runs back to Moshe and says, "Oh my God, Moshe! These two guys, they're prophesying. This was such that it would have been. Wait a minute, are they challenging Moshe?" And
after
Moshe,
Miriam and Aaron,
actually, I wanted to say that, but this is actually the 11th chapter, and Miriam is the 12th of Numbers. Okay. So I was almost where you are, and I bit my tongue there. This is before that, but the point I wanted to make was when Yahowah ben Nun ran to Moshe and said, "These two fellows, Dowd and Dowd, are they're filled with the spirit of Yahowah, and they are acting as prophets, speaking for God." Moshe didn't say, "Who are those guys? I've never heard of those guys." No, he said, "It's glorious. Let them go.
Boy.
This is the right thing." Which means he knew them. They've been around a while, and this is only a few days out of Choreb.
Yeah.
And so my conclusion to that
he
is...
still calls you young man.
Yeah. My conclusion to all of that is that, when Moshe said, "I don't want to do this," and Yahowah said, "Okay, here your brother's coming around the corner. He's got a big mouth. If your issue is your mouth, and you don't recognize that I made your mouth, and obviously I can make it work, and you want somebody as a crutch, your big mouth brother's coming around the corner." But the fact of the matter, Aaron was a liability the whole time. Aaron was never an asset. He was a jerk. And so now you're dealing with a man that I think had tremendous courage and character and Moshe, but he didn't want to go back to Mitzrayim. And his reason for not wanting to go back to Mitzrayim is not what people think. People think that because he had a target on him because
warrant?
They wanted him for murder. No, that wasn't why he didn't.
40 years, ain't nobody going to recognize or remember any of that.
That is correct. We're 3 pharaohs away from that pharaoh.
No, I know why he didn't want to go back.
Why?
Same reason I don't want to go to Jerusalem.
Yeah.
Yahud.
There's Jews there.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why I want to go back.
Scary people, man.
There are Jews there. He had tried to.
The goy are nothing.
He had experience. He tried to save them once before, and they turned on him.
That's right.
They turned on him rather than the taskmaster. And so he didn't want to go there.
They were worse than.
He had no chance whatsoever.
They were worse than the Mitzori.
And he knew he had no chance whatsoever. Mm-hmm. And that's when I think Yahowah arranged for these two fellows to say, I'll have you covered here. We'll round up the Hebrews. We'll get them to listen to you, to work in harmony with you. And particular when it came to the first Pesach, Matzah, and Makodim, they had to have somebody come up with the lambs. And there's just a little teeny bit of that story they had to find somebody that could round up some hyssop too.
Mm-hmm.
And hyssop turns out to be the miracle remedy all the way through the sacrifice of the Adam Parah.
Yep.
Hyssop is even the cure for leprosy. So I think they were from the beginning of this process. So I think there's no talking role. You're right, at least none that we know of. But there's a lot of things that just had to go right, and had they been any different, they would not have gone right. And we know that the Amma was actually inserted to save Moshe 40 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So these guys could have hung around and been prepared for this role and stepped right in to do what needed to be done. They would have known the scenery and the territory. So I think they were there for a longer period of time. But when it comes to the third insertion, which I think begins with Obed-Edom and then goes all the way through probably year 4 of Solomon's reign, two things materialize from that. That is a lasting legacy. One of them is 30 of the 31 Mashal.
Mm-hmm.
He wrote 30 of 31 Mashal. And the other is that it is obvious that he co-authored the 89th Mizmowr. So that's a decent life there. That's you're getting much better at it, as you would say, Kevin. You're getting much better at the craft. And then it comes back in the fourth iteration of the 5, and the reason I skip over the visit as Michael and Gabriel to Nathan is, even though we appeared as men during that episode, that wasn't a life. That was you came in at 2 different occasions. You talk for probably
It's like a Zoom call.
half an hour, maybe 45 minutes. You talk and you leave. So it was, the whole experience was over in 2 hours.
Yeah, it's exactly like a Zoom call.
Yeah. So with Zoom call with nephesh souls being put into temporary bodies to accomplish the mission. So I kind of skip over that. I think it's this. I mean, I know it's the same characters, same souls. It's just not a life, not part of the life journey. Just God deployed them for that purpose. And then this one, there's 35 books, 25,000 pages, 10,000 hours of audio programming. I think we're getting a lot better
Good
at it.
at it.
We're getting pretty good at it.
We're
And,
getting good.
We're getting good. And particularly in this one, we started off slow and, gradually build up some momentum and some speed. And right now we're coming up with insights that are unheralded and profound on a weekly basis, sometimes twice and 3 times a week. So, I think we're getting pretty good at it. And then and this time better than any other time, we're working as a family.
Mm-hmm.
We're all engaged, man. The promotional materials, the branding materials, the songs, the graphics, the support on social
websites,
media, all the stuff that's going on around this, the production of this show. We are really honing our craft on behalf of Yahowah and his people.
Yah seems to be able to really sharpen and keep his tools quite sharp.
He does. He does. And that's basically what you come down to, the realization that with him picking someone in this role. And one of the really things that's kind of fun about this is everybody has known there needs to be some tie-in by why are the 2 guys taken by Yahowah, and we know one of them is coming back as one of the 2 witnesses. There's always been this thought, well, the other one must be the other one that's coming back as one of the 2 witnesses. They are.
Mm-hmm.
So it is.
It fits.
It is the soul of Enoch along with the soul of Eliah. Yeah. So it's a beautiful way that the story all comes together, and we ultimately will prevail. We're going to complete this job. But what you find is that what you essentially become is a really comfortable tool in God's hands. He says, I've used that saw, or I've used that hammer, I've used that chisel. Previously, it felt really comfortable. We were able to get done what we needed to get done. And so I'm going to use it again.
Yeah.
I think that's it's a different way of looking at it. There's no prestige in this. What there is comfort. A feeling of usability, so that when you show up, there's no aggrandizement or anything of that nature. There's just, hi, it's good to be back. What do you want to do next time? That worked out pretty good this last time. We're getting better at it. Can't wait to go again. I mean, we could be really, really good if we get another chance at this. So that's how I see it anyway. So Dowd was finally repositioned, if you will, to pursue his calling. He would be summoned to fulfill the Mikre finally. And this is his calling. If the realization, this is why this is such an important story. You have a beautiful daughter. You're so cute, Helen. Wow, you're a lucky man there, Mr. JB.
I'm not looking forward to teenage years. I have to be work on.
She's pretty sweet. Okay, so anyway, what we realize is that when Dowd rejected everything, his calling, Yahowah, everything, and he became a malcontent, that left God in a terrible position because of two reasons. One is Dowd opened the door for Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. Had he not done those things, it would have been impossible to justify the character theft, the identity theft that was necessary to create the counterfeits in Jesus Christ, Bar Kokhba, and Muhammad.
Yep.
They are only possible because Dowd, who began
Acted
great,
poorly.
fell precipitously. And so that was exceedingly aggravating for God.
Mm-hmm.
Because it put him in a terrible position
Yes,
of what's going to happen to his people. And it put, us in a tough position too, because a third of our time early on had to be to defeat those three foes. We had to oppose the foes that Dowd allowed in Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, and written 13 books to do so. And until you repudiate them, you can't move on with the rest of it because of what they did. But the other thing that he did is that he wrote himself out of God's story. And the story is when Abraham and Yitzhak were up on Mount Moriah, and they knew that they were celebrating Pesach, Passover, and there was no lamb, and they had everything else. They're, saying, where's the lamb? And then when he was about to take the life of his beloved son, it says, do not take the life of your only son, your beloved and only son. And he said, I'm going to provide the lamb. And well, Dowd didn't get it at the time. He's that son. You are that man. And therefore, Dowd was the only one qualified to fulfill Pesach. And the next part of that mission is even harder, carrying our guilt into Sheol, to deposit it there on Matzah. And then because he is the firstborn, the Bakor of God, he is the one to lead the procession to Bakurim, firstborn children. But to fulfill that mission, you have to earn God's trust. He is not going to put you in a position to do that and then watch you fail. And it takes big time trust both ways to endure Pesach and Matzah, and to finish it all off with Bakurim. And Dowd was not even a million miles within the realm of being trustworthy enough for God to do that. Now, what would have happened if God couldn't use Dowd to fulfill Pesach, Matzah, and Bakurim?
It's over.
It's over for all of us.
All of
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Entire planet.
Yeah, for all of us. There is there's no future in the prophets. There is no fulfillment of any of the Mikra. Shabu is impossible. Towrah is impossible. There can be no homecoming on Kippurim. There's no return to Eden on Sukkah. It's all gone. God's entire plan unravels. The human experiment is over, and it's defeated. We all lose. The planet's destroyed under the weight of a human malfeasance, and God never returns. And the whole human experience after 6,000 years unravels, and it's just gone. So there was a lot writing on getting Dowd's attitude back, and that's one of the things that I don't think anybody else has ever previously pondered as to how bad a position Dowd put God, and how essential it was to resolve this with God being unable to personally do it. He couldn't do it himself. He couldn't be even seen, heard, or tolerate being in the midst of that. So this is the solution that he came up with. Unfortunately, it worked. Surely he inclined his ear to me. So during my days, I will be summoned and called. I will be proclaimed and invited during the Mikra. He now knows it. He's going to fulfill the Mikra. So during my days, I will be summoned and called. I'll be proclaimed and invited during the Mikra. Kara, I will be designated and known, called and perfect, literally, genuinely, on an ongoing base. Me, myself, and I, first person singular. That's a big admission. He now knows it. That's the cornerstone of his life. It's the cornerstone of human existence. And he's in a position now to own up to it. Not only own up to it, embrace it, love it. And you might say, well, why would anybody in their right mind love the idea of being bludgeoned, crucified by the Romans, and then go to hell for the day? Why would anybody in their right mind want to do that?
Return on investment.
There is a return on that investment. You're right. And what's the return?
The whole world.
Israel.
Yeah. Well, everybody gets to come along, absolutely. But at the end of the day, I mean, he inherits the universe.
Yeah.
Well,
and
yes.
those who meet muster earn a spot to eternity.
So selfishly, Dowd gets the slate cleaned by Yahowah. He opens the door to life. God made it already clear you're never going to die. So, that was good. So by fulfilling Pesach and Matzah, he opened the door to heaven for himself and for us. And by fulfilling Matzah, he carried his own guilt away in addition to ours. So he came clean. That's really good for him. He now lives up to being the firstborn on Bikurim. And as a result, now he can come back as king. And now as a result, he inherits the universe. That's pretty good. So he gained a lot. But also, he gains the respect and admiration of everybody who makes it that far, because I'm here to tell you, we're all in a position where that door to heaven has been opened for us. The access to Yahowah's covenant family was given to us. We became immortal and not guilty as a direct result of what Dowd did. The fact he did it, we're all beneficiaries. And so both it's positive for us, but it's also a positive for him, because rather than being besmirched and demeaned by people, he's going to be beloved because we're all there because of him.
He gets a supportive family. Yes. Yeah.
He does. A loving and supportive family is what he gets as a result of this. We do have Kirk, and I don't know what. Oh, there he is. And let me just finish the thought, and then we'll check in with you there, Kirk. The other thought is that he knows that he has done a horrible disservice to Israel. because of that death, God said the sword's never going to leave the house of Israel. Millions have died. And if he can give new life and hope and access to eternity and to Yahowah and all the riches and all the rewards by his actions, then he has made up for his wrong, hasn't he? And so there are so many benefits to this. It was a cost reward analysis, and he made it favorably and decided to do it, and it was the right call. And he now not only knew that he was going to fulfill the mikra, he couldn't wait to fulfill the mikra, because everything is right again the moment he does.
Yep.
So, Kirk, I understand it's been kind of a rough go there, huh, man?
Yeah, we're getting. And I just leave it at that. Yeah, that's pretty. But I've only got 5 more to go, and then hopefully the tumor's dead.
Yeah, 5 more to go, man. That's good.
Yeah,
That's it's going to be enough. I'm sure a rough week coming up, but still, 5 more. That's you started with what, 35 of them?
36 or 8 or something like that. I forget now.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, they've been radiating your mind or your other parts, your nether regions.
They say you get brain fog. I think I wrote you this week.
Okay. Yeah.
I think I know what. But let me check here. Hi, y'all.
We're doing great. We've got you in the circle today. We have Will in the square.
Oh, okay.
So
No problem.
we're lovely to have you in the circle. So we're talking about the fact that here Dowd made a statement. He says, "So during my days, I will be summoned, I will be called, proclaimed, and invited during the mikra." Kara, he knows it now, and he doesn't just know it; he's owning it.
Mm-hmm.
So, in fulfilling the mikra, Dowd's body would die on Pesach. But God said, "You will never die." Even after all of this, God says, "You're never going to die." And so it's just his body, this disposable body. And it was to resolve the plague of death. And then on Matzah, he would carry our guilt into Sheol to liberate us from it. The ordeal would be anguishing, of course, especially when confined in the restrictive confines of what is essentially a black hole in Sheol or hell. So this is what he wrote. A boisterous procession of the plague of death, even the snares and injury of the body dying, will for a time encompass me, swirling around me. The anguishing distress and troubling ordeal of Sheol, hell, will one day find me, attaining and possessing me. I will have met up with and experienced confining agony in a restrictive and emotionally distressful situation, and vexing and annoying affliction and frustrating suffering. Psalm 116:3. Hey, how did he begin this? Didn't he begin this? I'm in love. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
We're having a great time now. And he just said, I'm going to hell. I'm going to be tormented and agonized in the death of my body. Now, it takes a special understanding to put those things together, doesn't it?
Yes.
And do you think that the guy who narrated the 51st Mizmowr, twisting everything up, came to this place on his own?
Nope.
Not likely.
No. So we're reading this and you're saying, okay, there is no chance he came from that place to this place unless he had a tutor. Somebody got his attention and said, let me explain it to you. Your body is going to get beat to.
It was Kara.
Yeah, Kara did that. But your body's going to get all beat up. And it's going to, crucifixion is going to be rough. And you are going into Sheol. The very thing that Jews deny, they deny there even is such a place. He's acknowledging he's going into hell, and that it's going to be emotionally distressful. and that it's going to be vexing and annoying and frustrating, and it's terrible anguish and suffering and grief. And he is happy about it. Because what? He now understands how he's going to fulfill that very mikra that he said he would be summoned to and would be known for and proclaimed as a result of. He knows that his body now is going to serve a tremendous purpose as the Passover lamb. And he knows that his soul is going to not only endure the rigors of hell for matzah, but it's going to deliver him and us from our guilt.
But he was aware as well that his nefesh would be preserved by Yah's ruach.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think I also told him something that I had read, and I've forgotten where I read it, but I only found it a few months ago, that when our bodies are bludgeoned, his and mine later, we are actually protected by the ruach. It's the ruach that takes the blows.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because our souls are so protected and enveloped by the ruach that it has to be a gruesome spectacle for the purpose to be understood, for the purpose to be achieved, for it to get people's attention and to perform as designed. But God has a protective function in there where he's not allowing either of his sons to suffer as a result of these beasts, as a result of this. So you have to, what you're really saying is, I have so much trust in Yahowah, and I understand the process so well that I'm willing to put myself in a position to face the most painful, tormenting of all possible deaths. I'm even willing to go into hell because I trust him. And it's all going to work out. And that's what he's saying here. That's what it takes. And you really have to think it all through before you come to that conclusion. I mean, how many people do you know that says, okay, I'll sign up for a crucifixion. Go ahead and crucify me. You need somebody to go to hell to carry something there? Oh, sure. I'm your guy. I'm ready to go.
Yahweh calls it the standing place because he stands with you.
Yeah. So this is a major disclosure. He knows, not only does he know that he is going to fulfill the mikra, he knows how he's going to fulfill Pesach and Matzah at this point. How about that for a change, for growth, for maturity? So we know that Dowd has restored his relationship with Yahowah at this point. They're talking again directly to one another. He's back in love. He is ecstatic of the way things are going. He knows he's going to be best known for filling the mikra, and then he describes what's going to happen. His body is going to be badly beaten, and that his soul is going to enter Sheol. That's a long way, man. That means he is ready to do what needs to be done. So
he repaired his cognition. His cognition has also been totally repaired and then some.
Yes. Yeah, you and I talked on the phone about the tragic combination of too much alcohol and depression. When those two things come together, it really wreaks havoc with one's mind and attitude and all these kinds of things. You had actually had a medical term for the combination of alcoholism and depression, and how it is likely that he was medicating his depression with alcohol, and what that did to him.
Yeah, it's known in medical parlance as a toxic metabolic encephalopathy. It basically means your brain.
That sounds bad.
Yeah. We in our profession like to make ourselves sound lofty by these silly words, but it means your brain is essentially poisoned.
Yep.
And he was medicating himself with alcohol, and he was experiencing delusions, and he had intermittent episodes of psychosis with it.
Prolonged alcohol use can and sometimes does, render people delusional,
Mhm.
out of touch with reality, narcissistic,
Let me throw two things at you there, Doctor.
nihilistic.
Yeah, I agree. Throwing two at you. I have been told that alcohol actually kills brain cells.
Mhm.
It's a neurotoxin,
Okay,
especially in
does.
high doses.
So it does. And I had a doctor tell me about a week ago that love is capable of stimulating and making new brain cells.
Oh, okay. Now you're leading me on. It's a substance in the brain, and I've discussed this with you and with Leah. It's called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. It's like miracle weed for your neurons.
Hmm.
Essentially, it was a dictum up until not so long ago that when you lose brain cells and supportive cells like glial cells or microglial cells in your brain, your gray matter, that you're one and you're done. But that's not the case.
No, never was.
You have this chemical which stimulates and facilitates brain growth and neuroplasticity.
Hmm.
It also
And how is it stimulated there, Doctor?
well, it's in multiple ways.
Hmm.
It improves your longevity. It improves your quality of life. It improves your cognition. You have decreased levels of Alzheimer's disease.
Hmm.
It goes hand in hand with what was discussed, I think, during our last family hour or the family hour before that, about having a healthy, loving relationship, including a healthy sexual relationship.
Hmm.
We are built for that. Talk about oxytocin, dopamine, norepinephrine, and the wonderful symphony that Yah created in our genes and DNA to be expressed. It's amazing that you have these morons and idiots who say otherwise. Physiologically, when you don't have the right combination or balance, you die early, you suffer from heart disease, you get cancer at higher rates, you develop anxiety, depression, and other mental illnesses, and quality of life is, Leah would appreciate this word, verstumpt. It stinks.
So if I were to summarize what I just heard you say is that while alcohol destroys brain cells, being in love stimulates them.
Absolutely. You look at in fact, oxytocin itself antagonizes the effect of excess cortisol.
So I made you smarter.
She
Ha!
did. Leah made me smarter, but it was reciprocal. So it wasn't a selfish act. That's the beauty of love.
Yeah.
So what we're saying here is really pretty extraordinary. Is that here we have a test case where the most important person in the world was in depression, and he was medicating his depression with alcohol and therefore killing his own brain so that he was sane and doing really stupid stuff. He fell back in love, and his brain was re-stimulated, and he became brilliant again and had purpose in life again, was joyous and happy in love again. And it's love that was the ultimate tool that changed all of that, so that both emotional and physical love is an exceedingly important part of stimulating our ability to think and to be productive as people.
That's right. In addition, just to round it out, we've all heard of endorphins, which are our own endogenous opiates, and enkephalins. That's also released in great quantities as a result of this chemical, and as a result of having a healthy emotional and sexual life.
So when Leah, as the Amma, was talking with Dowd and said, you know, you're way too into just lustful interactions. Love requires you to be able to respect, to confide in, and to trust your partner. And if you stop with the alcohol, which is what she said, not for you, and you come to appreciate intimate, sensual love with somebody that you can confide in, that you trust, that you admire, for also the contributions they're making to your life and their brilliance, then this is the best medicine you could possibly consume at this point.
Yeah.
That was astute, wasn't it?
It was very astute. It was true then, and it's true now. And you can also, as a couple, enjoy each other and have fun.
Mm-hmm. And grow as a result of it. Become better
That's
people as a
exactly
result of it. And you're modeling appropriate behavior as a result of it. So the opening of this song, I'm in Love, is a direct result of what we've just been talking about, isn't it?
I would say so. It
And does it make
sounded like Dowd was full of endorphins and enkephalins and oxytocin when he made that statement.
Yeah. Leah said, this is the way that you should choose the women that matter in your life. And if you make the right choice and you have the right attitude towards them and they are the right person for you, then this is going to be the result. And he did, and it worked, didn't it?
It worked.
You know, when we read the scandalous song of the Torah, prophets, and Psalms, of the writings, it's the Song of Solomon, is it not?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. The Song of Solomon is a sensuous love song, isn't it? But also of tremendous respect as well.
Yes.
And when the reason that Yahowah sent a husband and wife as a mother and father was to model the kind of interaction that the covenant would be based upon, and that our individual lives should be based upon if we're going to be contributors to the covenant. And it's not only did Dowd witness that, so did Solomon, which is the essence of that song. So a lot of insights that people have never considered previously, and how it is so liberating in terms of what we have said for so long about Yahowah and sexuality. You know, God's got some hard lines. Don't do lammies. No, we're not doing bestiality. We're not doing family members. No incest. No rape. No pedophilia. And no necrophilia. These are nixay. No, very bad. But other than that, there's no place where God says, you know, you one woman or one man per customer. That's it. If you ever have so much as kiss somebody else, then you're really upsetting me. It's all over. Never. He doesn't care how many lovers we have, so long as we go about it the right way. He's not the least bit concerned about any of these kinds of things. And it's because we were designed this way. We were designed to benefit from mutually beneficial, loving, and romantic, sensual relations. It is that's part of this message woven into it. So you're glad you showed up at the right time there, Captain Kirk, huh? You're muted for some reason. We don't have your voice. We don't know why, but we'll get you back here before long. But isn't it? I mean, it's just amazing what we can learn when we're paying attention, when we go where the words lead, and we think about what the implications are of all these things. Where he was, what she said, and where he is now. and why he began this by saying, I'm in love. Changed everything, didn't it? I mean, isn't love the greatest experience you can have in your life? You know, to love someone and be loved in return. I don't think there's anything more satisfying, more empowering, more enabling. And then we learn how beneficial it is to our brains. So, really good sign. So we know anyway that Dowd, getting back just to the routine stuff, but thank you for stimulating me so that I'm smarter. I probably would be really stupid without my wife, but
And I without you.
yeah, see, now we know. And Dowd obviously was restored in his relationship with Yahowah because he is literally describing the fulfillment of Pesach and Matzah. And for this to have occurred, the Messiah and King would have to have regained God's trust. And the Son would have to return Yahweh's trust as well. This is the pronouncement, of course, that we've been seeking. This was the whole purpose of the intervention, to get to this place. And here it is boldly proclaimed, right here before us. And he says, now, with the name of Yahowah, well, that was the name that he wouldn't say, and now this is the third time he has laid it out there. With the name of Yahowah,
Lay it on thick.
I called out during the Mikre when I was summoned. Let it happen, Yahowah. You and I both emphatically want you to deliver my soul and save through my consciousness. Isn't that the payoff line?
There it is.
Isn't that the purpose of, if you read through the 89th Mizmowr, don't you come to this conclusion?
Yeah.
One should.
This is it. That's the answer. That's the whole intervention was for that statement. And the others that lead up to it are really nice. They help explain it, but let it happen. I want to do it. I'm responsive. I'm ready. Let's go. I know the answer. Anah, let it happen.
Put me in the game. Coach.
Having sought this opportunity, Yahowah, you and I are both emphatically in agreement. We want you to deliver my soul and save through my consciousness. Malat Nefesh Ani, written, of course, in the Peel imperative cohortative. Paragogike. What does that mean? Paragogike, emphatically. This is something that is essential to who we are and what we want. This is the essence of who we are. This is, that's the excellent. Okay, that's a simple way to go. It's an explanation point.
In modern day parlance, he is basically saying, put me in the game.
Put me in the game, coach. I'm ready to go. And he's going more than that, because it's not just the cohortative, which be put me in the game, coach. I'm ready to play. It's also in the imperative, conveying the imperative correctly. You want to put me in the game because I want to play. That's kind of what we're conveying here. I want to be deployed. And nefesh means my consciousness. He gets it. His body is irrelevant to this. The current body that he's in is going to be discharged. He's going to be given a new body. It will be used for that purpose and then discharged. But his soul goes on. Mm-hmm. You're going to use my soul in this way. You're going to put my soul into another body. Great. Sacrifice of Passover. That body is gone. You're going to take my soul through Sheol, but your spirit's never leaving me, protecting me there, delivering me out of Sheol. We're going to come back together when it's all done and be proud of what we accomplished. Let it happen. Yahowah. You and I both emphatically want you to deliver my soul and save through my consciousness. That is my life's ambition, is to get the world to understand that. Yeah. What I didn't know until quite recently is my first customer. It's pretty funny, isn't it?
Yes.
You know, how many times,
dark irony.
guys and gals, have I said that the greatest discovery in human history is the realization that Dowd served as the Passover lamb and then fulfilled matzah by taking our guilt into Sheol, and that he did so in 33 CE, year 4000 Yah, his second of 3 lives. It's the greatest discovery in human history. Well, I guess I cheated in that discovery because I convinced Dowd that it was the right thing to do. And I took credit for discovering that he did it.
It's kind of like the go ask. I know it's kind of like the go ask Ruth thing.
Oh, yeah, it's kind of like, go ask Ruth, and it just lays it all on the line and
Oh my
says,
God.
brings you to full fruition. But that is pretty funny when you think about it from that point of view. My discovery was based on something that I personally hid inside of Dowd. So I got Dowd to agree to do this, and I said, I figured it out. Dowd's going to do this. It is pretty funny. Okay. Well,
Oh my goodness.
Dowd was ready, even eager, to finish the mission that would define and enable his lives and ours. He wanted Yahowah to use his nephesh soul in this fashion. And that is the key to understanding not only the ways that Pesach and Matzah were fulfilled, of course, but also how Dowd was able to live multiple lives. All the mystery is out of the equation at this point. It's all laid out for us. It's clearly understood. Here it is in the 116th Mizmowr. It's almost as if we wrote it. Say, see? Oh, well. Just as Yahowah stated, it is pretty profound, but it is also pretty funny. So just as Yahowah had stated, Dowd would never die. Why? Because it's his conscience. It was only a disposable body that endured the anguishing torment of crucifixion. Dowd knew that. I know that. We all know that. His body served its purpose and was incinerated while his soul lives on. For those that say that they do in Judaism, and we have a clique that opposes us that say it too, that Dowd could not have served as the Passover lamb because Yahowah is opposed to human sacrifice.
Oh my God.
God, it's a body. It's
Body.
And since when do they get to decide what God will and will not do?
Well, God's pretty clear. God will never do something that's contrary to what he has said he won't do or shouldn't do, and he won't do what he's told us not to do. And human sacrifice is a terrible thing, but that's not what this is about. It's about a disposable body that God created for that exact purpose, for his soul to sit into that body, for that body, which is otherwise worthless and disposable, to serve metaphorically as the Passover lamb.
The rabbis seem to not know the difference, these geniuses, between a basar and a nefesh.
No, they
Hello,
don't.
what are the instructions to do after Pesach?
No, and if you listen to them, they're equally confused over a ruach and a nasama.
Yep.
Between those four things, they're absolutely clueless. They
Yep.
have no idea how to differentiate the four, and they are really important. Ruach is spirit, and we humans don't have one. God can loan us one. There's a few people that he loaned his ruach. Dowd happens to be one of them. And there is a nasama, which is the thing that makes us humans different than other animals, because it's our conscience. Where a nefesh is our conscience, our consciousness, our ability to perceive and respond to our environment, where our nasama gives us the ability to think about it and make intelligent decisions about what we're seeing before we act. And the bashar is just the temporary house that our soul resides within. And that temporary house is going to be replaced by an eternal and brilliant, powerful house of light and energy. That's one of the reasons that Christianity is so dumb. It's this idea of bodily resurrection is just completely absurd. It's going the wrong direction. You want to get rid of these if you're going to be released and explore the universe and do anything more with your life than simply wallowing on this planet stuck in time. So it's a brilliant analysis, and that's what is happening here. His nefesh would live on forever, and he would occupy various bodies over time, including in his second life, he'll come back in a body of sorts. And during that millennial celebration of the Shabbat of Sukkah, as the earth is returned to the conditions of Eden, those of us, when we're on this planet doing our thing, modeling, by the way, good behavior, modeling appropriate behavior, loving behavior, observant behavior, responsive behavior, and responsible behavior, that while we're modeling those things, guess what? Physical bodies. So there's nothing wrong with the physical body, but they are very, very limiting, and they will serve a purpose from time to time. But E equals MC squared, man. Energy is a whole lot better, and that's going to become the house for our soul. So as stated here, the next 24 hours as his body succumbed to the hellish experience of crucifixion by the beast of Rome, his nephesh actually went into Sheol, albeit for a heavenly cause. And there he deposited our guilt and his own, never to be seen again. He would go into hell for this purpose. And when the ordeal was over, still protected within Yahowah's Ruach spirit, taking the blows, taking the pressure, Dowd's nephesh soul was released from Sheol to return to a very proud father. Mission accomplished. I don't think they had an aircraft carrier, but I'm sure that banner was beautiful. Can you imagine that homecoming?
A great big man.
Mission accomplished, son. Proud of you.
Yep.
The son named Beloved, who loved Yahowah, was loved by God in return. The catalyst that makes us possible to live beyond this life, to be free of these physical bodies, is possible because a man who was down and in serious trouble got a helping hand. He was lifted back up. And as a result, he would stand up and soar. And through all of this, we learned that a man that is worse than Israel is today can be restored to greatness. God has a plan. This is his plan. This is how it works. And that same offer that Dowd enabled is available to all of us. The Almighty's mercy and compassion is available to those who are Sadak, right? The correct or vindicated. So Yahowah, he says, his compassion. After saying, I'm going into hell, my body's going to be bludgeoned. Isn't this great?
Wow.
He says, Yahowah is compassionate and correct. Our God is loving. Why? Because it really is a compassionate and loving response. It's the ultimate. There is nothing more loving than being able to lay down your life in this way, be able to survive it, go into hell in this way and endure it, and to know the gift that you have given of life and of eternity in God's presence to all who capitalize on what you've done. There's no more loving gesture that has ever been made. And it was made because God loved his beloved son, and they worked it out so that Dowd fell back in love with Yahowah, and through it all, they were able to accomplish this.
I want to point out the contrast between this, the loving relationship, the parental intervention, and the myth, the replacement of Jesus. What they fail to see is that they only feel something for this man because they watched him be sadistically tortured.
Well, they didn't know. They didn't know. I don't follow any of that. They didn't watch Jesus become sadistically tortured. He never existed.
But that's what they think.
No, it's utter. There is no connection. The fact is that Jesus is just a horrible lie created by Paul in 52 CE, based on stealing Dowd's titles and achievements, and then enveloping the whole thing with a heavy dose of Dionysus. No, it's This is beautiful. This is what God did. The rest of it is just nasty and ugly.
And horrible.
And it's
Okay, so
it's
yeah.
also it's juxtaposed between this idea, this religious idea of unconditional love, and that we're going to love you no matter what you do and have forgiveness, where Yahowah is loving and merciful by letting Dowd go do some work and clean up his mess, you know, right?
Right.
There was some work involved with that, and the loving of, hey, because of what you do and did, Dowd, you know, everybody else gets to benefit from it as well. As
But they have
opposed
to also
you know,
engage.
They have to also, and yes, yeah.
Yeah. This is a relationship. You have to participate to benefit.
It's
Dowd had to earn Yahweh's trust again for this to occur. And once he earned Yahweh's trust, he was put in a position where he could do this. And by doing it, he delivered the result. God's not looking for dependence. He is not looking to hand out forgiveness like they're chocolates in a box. You know, pick one and take a bite. No, that's not the way it works. You have to be observant. You have to respond, and then you have to demonstrate that you're reliable. Dowd did all those things. He listened to what we had to say. He responded brilliantly, and then he proved himself reliable by carrying it out.
What you just said is you shot down the whole concept, this Pauline concept of grace, which is nonsense. Because when Dowd tried, when he was in the stupor in Mizmowr 51, it was totally rejected. He wasn't going to get away with it. No such
he
thing
begged
as a
Yahweh
free
for
lunch here.
forgiveness. He begged Yahweh for forgiveness, and Yahweh said, I'm not even listening to you. No. Begging for forgiveness, wanting forgiveness doesn't get you anywhere. What gets you somewhere, being observant, paying attention, responding so that you make a contribution to the relationship and the world around you and to others, which is what Dowd did, and ultimately proving responsible because you're willing to complete the job. You're willing to stay at the mission. You won't give up. And you learn from mistakes. You get up when you've fallen. And that's how you prove that you can be trusted. I don't think many of us develop character by succeeding.
right. No.
We develop character by failing. We don't, you can develop some level of confidence by being tested and succeeding. But mostly you develop confidence by having been pummeled, having been hit, having been harmed in some way, by tripping and stumbling somehow and getting up. And if you've fallen and gotten back up 10 times, then you have no fear of falling, do you?
You learn how to fall. Yeah.
Yeah, and you do.
Landing.
Which, most importantly, you've proven that I can get back up when I have failed.
To be honest, most people don't find success without finding failure and picking themselves up and continuing to go. You don't succeed right away. Most people fall down, they fail, they fix it, they learn, they move on. That's the only way you get to success.
Yeah, I also thought that with the successes that I had here and there in life, and particularly in business, that most of my successes were because I prepared in advance to capitalize on the opportunity. When the opportunity appeared, I was ready. I was ready, I was able, I was willing, and I was prepared to capitalize on it. So this falls back into Yahweh's plan. Be observant and pay attention to what's going on so that you're prepared to capitalize on the opportunity. And then when you have one, go for it. You know that you're prepared to capitalize on this, and that's made a huge difference. And sometimes the plans didn't work. We jumped in and tripped and fell. And what I found too is that the first time you find that you made a mistake, most people are a little reluctant to say, "Oh, well, I made a mistake," and but I'm going to try to correct it. The more you make mistakes and learn from them, and are willing to say, "Yeah, I made that mistake." I was reading a Mizmowr today. It was the 9th, and it started with Dowd being all excited about the death of a son, and he is praising Yahweh. He is singing Yahweh's, saying how wonderful Yahweh is, how joyous he is over the death of a son. And I'm trying to figure, okay, well, he had 4 deaths of 4 sons, and I don't know how this works, but okay, well, we'll go with it. That's what it says. And he had his first son died after 8 days. His eldest son was killed by Absalom for having raped his sister. Absalom got killed for the coup against Dowd, and Dowd's first child through Bathsheba died within weeks of the time of its birth. And Dowd's not celebrating any of those, right? He wept over all of those. And so here I am. It doesn't get to the end, and I realized, wait a minute, all of this is taking place on Towrah. This is when Yahweh was wiping out all of those opposed to Israel and reestablishing the earth in ideal conditions and forever protecting his people. So if it's happening on Towrah, who's the son that is dying that he's celebrating? That's right. Me. And he has every right to be. I'm going to be celebrating it too. And we all should, because of the benefit that's being delivered by it. So here I was years ago. I wrote this and I was trying to figure out why he's celebrating the death of a son. And you get halfway through and you say, oh, well, now I get it. Here we are. So it's kind of fun if you've done it enough, you actually begin to celebrate the idea of being wrong, because now you can grow from it and you can be exposed and be comfortable for it and to model what is the proper response to finding out whether there's a better way to interpret this. You get to model that and to show that it's not only just okay, it's confidence building. So ever been wrong there, Will?
Yeah, it's my MO.
That's your MO. Ever had a significant failure in life?
Yeah, plenty of them.
Plenty of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you managed to work your way through them.
Yeah. And the more severe or the more difficult it was, the more satisfying the victory is thereafter. So, the problem has a way of actually defining how glorious, let's say, that solution is.
Right. It does. And it developed not only confidence in yourself, but also it's feeding into this idea, Dowd was back in love with himself and with life. And you really do have to have a positive attitude about yourself to be lovable and to be effective in life. You develop a sense of respect for yourself when you resolve a problem. And I do think we have to respect ourselves. If we don't, we're not of any value to anybody.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And I wish I had the vocabulary of Dr. Jeff down there. I could really impress some people.
Please. You're talking about the 3 R's, the respect, resilience, and resourcefulness.
Yes.
You're the man of words. We got to get you a shirt that says, I need Devarim.
Yeah, I need Devarim. I feel the need for Devarim. Or my good buddy Yasha says he's a talkative stick. That one. Mm-hmm. But so is everybody that works around Yahowah. We all have the same thing. We all have a love of words, and words are the medium of thought. They're the medium of relationships. They're the definition of what we discern to be right and wrong, good and bad, productive and unproductive. So, yeah, it's. I had a co-author very early on, the man that taught me how to write more effectively. And when we parted over Paul, I come to see Paul as the plague of death. I saw him just exactly as Yahowah wrote him, but he loved his church and tried to bring church and Torah together, and it's really an odd fit. And when I would just be consistent with Yahweh's words, go where they led, his retort to me, and he was really a very nice man. He's passed away now, and dearly loved him. Is that I developed a religion of words. And if you're going to have a religion, that's a good one. Maybe the only one that actually would please God.
I've always thought
it's communicated to us. I think that's a good way to go.
Yeah, let's be devoted to words. Let's celebrate words. Not worshiping words, but we're celebrating them.
Yeah,
I've
always thought that going from, you have thought, okay, which is one dimensional. It exists in one frame inside of you. And then you have words, which is connection, which is two dimensional. It goes from you to others, okay? And that's very important. Yahowah spoke the universe into existence, right?
Yes. Right.
And then you have writing, which takes those three-dimensional words and makes them timeless, because once it's spoken, it's between two people and it's gone. It's in the ether, right? But when it's written down, it becomes solid, and it flows throughout time then, you know? And so I just always thought that was an interesting way to map out how words are become more important that way.
That's very smart. You must have a good love life. That actually was very astute, but I couldn't help put the joke. But it is true. Exactly what you've said. You've taken words from one dimensional into 4 and 5 dimensions.
It's going to be interesting what we can do with words when we figure out really how to use them in 5 and 6. You know.
Yeah. Look at the fact that when we write in 2 dimensions. That's our written word, even though it's on paper, and that has a dimension by itself, and the ink has a dimension. We call it 3 dimensions, but DNA, the language of life, is a multi-dimensional alphabet.
Yeah,
it's not on a flat surface. They're intertwined with each other in space, and what a marvelous concept that one is. And it's clear that language communicates, because our DNA communicates to our RNA, which communicates to our cells, which tells our cells how to respond and accomplish the work that they need to do. It's all a language. In fact, we even know that light communicates, and that light knows when it's being communicated with, when it's being observed. There's so much more to our universe that is related to this concept of communication, and the value of communication, and the words of the medium of communication, and that the letters are the construct of those words, or the atoms, if you will, of words.
No, it's interesting. Yeah, those are really excellent points you bring up. Is that when life is created as we know it, as humans, you have the combination of light, or immediately as a result of DNA interfacing with each other. When a sperm and an egg come together, there's a flash of light.
Flash of light.
And basically you're commingling DNA. It's all it comes together.
Yep. It's a marvelous thing. So Yahweh is compassionate and correct. Our God is loving. So there are so few who are now, as we press forward, who are actually open-minded and receptive, and can process all that we're sharing here, all that Dowd is sharing. Regarding Yahowah, this isn't a full-time job, what happens next, because there just aren't a lot of people that fit into this role. And it says that Yahweh observes, watching over the open-minded and receptive. Now that should be a lesson to us. Yahweh observes, watching over the pathe, the open-minded and receptive. So what's the lesson to us?
Be open-minded.
Well, that's obviously true if you want Yahweh to pay attention to you. But we know that if you're not open-minded, then you're not going to be receptive to his Torah, to his covenant, to his son, to the 7 Moed Mikre. So you're not going to be receptive to his words. You're not going to go where they lead if you're not open-minded and receptive. But what is the lesson to us besides that's the attitude?
He's picking and choosing. He's handing out invitations. It is our job in Yahowah to hand out as many invitations as possible. Have you heard of Yahowah? And if it pings with you and you go read and you're off to the races, man, you're there, you know?
But if you're approached by somebody who is condemning you because they're religious, or they're touting MAGA or Marxist ideals, should you spend any time trying to help them find the way?
No.
And then walk away.
Yada.com and walk away.
Walk away. I'm not even sure you should even go that far.
Yeah.
If you've got somebody that's overtly political, overtly religious, overtly conspiratorial, they're anti-Semitic, you feel free to answer whatever it is that they ask, but not for them, for the benefit of others.
Yes. Yeah.
And then walk away. There is no benefit whatsoever, and there's lots of negatives that go along with reaching out to. When we started this, there were a number of people in a conspiracy cult that glommed on to this message. And now, fortunately, there's some members of that conspiracy cult that have become astonishingly good, wonderful, loyal, engaged covenant members. But the core of that cult went right back to their cult.
Mm-hmm.
They are who they were. Mm-hmm. And so you don't want to invite the overtly conspiratorial, religious, or political into the covenant family. You don't want to draw them to God, because all it'll do is irritate God and us, and it'll be counterproductive. Don't do that. God is observing and watching over the open-minded and receptive. We should do the same. If somebody is open-minded and receptive, be there. Be prepared.
Yeah, Uncle Bob, who you've been trying to convert for the last 3 years,
don't
walk away.
Yeah, I was Perry that wrote a post. It had some ducks walking into the water with the graphic for it, if you recognize it. And he was talking about how his frustration was he wanted to get into a smaller house. And so rather than having to endure somebody coming and traipsing through his house and having to deal with all of that, so he must be quite the introvert, that being the case. But anyway, he said, I sold, at a fraction of the cost, and the company didn't respond appropriately and says, oh my God, now, I really do need to open the house up and actually consider normal buyers. And the first that came in turned out to be totally fascinated by Yahowah. And what they wanted to talk about is not so much the house, but with Yahowah and what he knew. Mm-hmm. And so he was prepared, and the opportunity was there. They were receptive, and may well have transformed 2 lives. Mm-hmm. So that's the answer for us. Be prepared, and then when somebody is receptive and open-minded, teach them, tell them what you know. So Yahowah focuses and observes the open-minded and the receptive. I was barely hanging on, he said. Boy, is that ever true. So I like the admission. I was barely hanging on and in need, fading away. And the verb is da'al, and I was dangling by a thread. Isn't that a beautiful metaphor? I was dangling by a thread. Therefore, concerned for me, he saved me. And now we know how he saved him. God intervened. He sent 2 comfortable tools to intervene and deliver the message that he needed to hear. I was barely hanging on and in need, fading away, and therefore concerned for me, he saved me. But that also tells us something, that deep down there was still this glimmer of receptivity in Dowd. And I think it was Leah, the Amma, who found it and opened it up. And then once it was just open a smidgen, I put a horn in that door, pried it open the rest of the way, and said, okay, boy, sit down. We're going to talk. I don't give a crap.
That's how robberies are committed, by the way. A pretty girl shows up and knocks on the door, and then the big guy comes along behind her.
But we weren't robbing him. We were we were doing exactly the opposite. We were stealing that which didn't belong, and we were giving him the ultimate gift. So this was, if everybody could be robbed this way, we'd all vouch for robbery. But that is the deal. The pretty girl knocked on the door and said, son, I want you to listen to this. And then the big guy showed up and he said, sit down. Mm-hmm. Listen up. I don't want you to talk again until I'm done. And it may be a while. Get comfortable.
Right.
I was barely hanging on by a thread, and indeed, I was fading away. Therefore, concerned for me, he saved me. He liberated and spared me, helping me, rescuing me from harm's way. This is Yasha. This is the primary salvation verb in Hebrew. That was 1:16:6. So while the open-minded and receptive comprise our target audience too, when it comes to the testimony of God, the number of people that we can reach and that message will resonate, well, they are as rare as they were in Dowd's day. But look at Dowd. You know, if it weren't for Yahowah saying, he's my son, he needs help, he would have been written off as too political, too full of himself. I don't think he was religious, but he was certainly political and full of himself. He was high on power. And so we found a way to get him to listen, and he did. So apart from denouncing religion, politics, conspiracy, collectivism, anti-Semitism, and militarism, there's very little that we can do after this, because of this equation, to turn it into God's favor. So there is, what I'm trying to say here is that while God's message is not going to resonate with the overtly political and religious, conspiratorial, or the like, it is possible that if we are very effective at hammering at why collectivism and Marxism is wrong, why MAGA is immoral and ignorant, why religion is a fool's folly, why you're being played for a fool, why conspiracy is the box of nuts and Cracker Jacks. If we do a decent job of being methodical, and I think we do a very good job of exposing and condemning conspiracy, collectivism and Marxism, MAGAs, and Christianity, Islam, Judaism. If you do a good job of that, there are people who will give it up. And once they give it up, now they're receptive. Now they're approachable. And so there is a huge advantage, even with those who are not initially approachable, by beginning doing what God does. God's very effective at denouncing human malfeasance and collectivism with religion and politics. So I think there's an advantage of that. It makes it possible for the message to resonate with some people. So we can learn the truth and we can share it, knowing that we and it will remain unpopular to the point of being publicly crucified for conveying it, but we'll find people who ultimately listen. That's one of the reasons I got so frustrated with X. And Will, you are the one of the most important readers on X, where I'm spending less and less time, because obviously I'm trying to translate and write the conclusions of Coming Home 4. So I stay ahead of our programs, because right now I'm about 50, 60 pages, maybe 70 pages ahead of where we are. And I need to write about 10 pages a day to keep that pace, so we can just keep right on going through this. And it's almost impossible to stay current in social media and devote that much time of your day to translating and writing those commentaries and completing the book material that we'll use for these shows, while doing 2 shows a day. And clearly I'm the format that I'm using on X is not effective. I mean, it's I've got 20,000 posts for 2,000 followers. That is, I'm not very good at it. And so I really need somebody to take over the X account for me. And my thought was that even though we're not growing at all in terms of followers on Facebook, and it's mainly because I'm in Facebook jail for telling the truth about Islam, which I'm not going to change. So be that as it may, and I'm not really trying to build an audience on Facebook. Facebook is a platform for us to be together and for us to communicate who we are and what we're doing, and for family education. and that the ultimate distribution of this is going to be through YouTube and the YouTube accounts that you all are managing, and perhaps Instagram and TikTok and Patron and a few others, but Rumble. But what could happen with X is that I'm happy to continue to spend an hour or so a day on Facebook. The environment is genteel enough that I can find posts from my feed and comment on them and post them, and then you can take anything on my page and save it as an image, and then copy and paste what I wrote about it, and then add your own thoughts to other images and post those and other images, and all in all, I think it's something that, based upon what you're currently doing, you do a great job, and it would certainly leverage what we're trying to accomplish. So
yeah, I'm going to talk to Rich tomorrow. I think we're going to flesh out some of the details on that.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to get you in as me, so that you can really just take it over, and then we'll talk about how we as a base, you'll have so much ammunition if you just look at the promotional animations, the songs, and the images that we're posting on Facebook, and then the news items and the commentary on them. I think that's going to be a lot. That's going to be 10 times more than anybody else normally posts on X. And then you add your own, because you're very good at it. You add your own comments, and you might get somebody like Dowd to join you, because he is and Roger is another one that are really good writers, very effective communicators. And if you share it between the three of you, I think that you'll find something that's great. And Dowd and Roger are both really good at, particularly Dowd, is if I post something, he's the first to comment, and his comments are always articulate, insightful, beautifully written. So I think if we leverage it and work as a team that way, I'm hoping to back away and I don't know if we have 100 days or a year, but either way, I would really like to be able to focus on getting this current book done, continue to do the 2 shows a day, 5 days a week, and then know that we're in a position to do another book on the minor prophets to finish all of those. And then I'd like to do at least 10 of the Mashal, now that we understand how they came into being. I think that would be a wonderful thing to add. And I just, my heart says there are things that you can do, and you ought to be doing them, and we need the job finished. Now, as somebody else has said, at the level that we're learning now and the sophistication of the concepts we're recognizing, they're just beyond a normal audience. And so, you're really not adding to who's going to be part of Shavuot. And while that may be true, there's also something about our target audience who are bright people. And something that we're saying is going to resonate. It's going to catch them. They're going to say, wow, now, when you say, our rabbis have denounced Dowd, and that what you're saying is that Dowd is us. We are Dowd. And look how he was taken from that position to where he was ultimately lifted to. That can happen to us too. And so somewhere along the way, it's going to resonate with them. And if nothing else, we're better prepared for when we come back in celebration of Towrah. We're better prepared when we're plucking the fruit from the tree of knowledge. So I just think that's the best use of all of our times. And I'm at about 90 hours a week, Will, and I'm 71 years old, and the eyes and the back and all of the functionality, I'm just not capable of going beyond that. And in fact, what I find is that if I don't shut down at shortly after 7 o'clock most evenings, after being in that chair long before sunrise, I go south. And so there has to be some pacing. And
you got great hair, Yada. Let's be honest.
I got good hair for a guy that's 71, and it's still have a decent mind for 71. It's good sex. I'm sure that's the now that we know the reason for it. I can't take credit for it anymore. Thank you, doctor. I'm very pleased to have learned that. Leah's always been into intelligence, so this is now she's can contribute to it. But the bottom line is that God has made it possible to do the job, and we're committed to doing the job. And all of us, this is the reason why it has become so much fun since we kind of regrouped a little over a year ago now. Mm-hmm. It has become so much more fun, so much more relaxed. I don't feel any vulnerability. I'm never worried about what's happening around me. The more we can share, the better. The more, and you look at some of the things that we're doing behind the scenes. I mean, there is a marvelous, fun, insightful, beautiful, well-scored promotional piece, not only every day, sometimes multiple times a day. Yeah. Oh, like that one with the little girl writing in the chalk with Yahowah's name. Yeah. Beautiful. The one with Abraham dancing as he's coming out of Babel. Spectacular.
That was Matt.
Oh yeah, some of these with the boy. Yeah, I lovingly criticize. I love Matt. We all love Matt. One of the posts, he said, this is beautiful. This is a woman's on a swing in front, underneath a tree in front of the moon. I mean, that's all of our symbols. Can you put a little yah.com and menorah towards the bottom that directs people's attention? Because pretty pictures are fine, but unless we're directing people to the place where they can find the answer, they don't do anybody any good. And so I said, I'd like that. Can you add that to it? And he wrote me this whole letter. He says, Leah's working me to the last moment of my existence, and I just don't have any time for anything else. So no, I can't do that. And Mariah, of course, found the image and added the menorah, and went on from there. But we collectively, oh my, it's not only working so beautifully, but we're so compatible and so supportive, and but do we need more? Absolutely. And and part of it too is that it's just like with Yahowah. Yahowah, it didn't tell Dowd, hey, come on, kid, I'll make everything right, and I'll fix you all up, I'll teach you what you need to know. He didn't do that at all. We do have to take some responsibility. So as Rich was saying, and Leah says, and I think, Kevin, it happens with you sometimes where somebody wants to say, okay, I want to do animation, but they don't take the time to hone their skills on the tools that are used for animation. And there's tutorials for all of it. It isn't a productive use of any one of our time to teach somebody how to use Canva. It's not a good use of my time to learn how to do it. I don't know how to do it, but that's not our job to teach those things, because there are many, many really excellent tutorials on them. Develop the time, learn to use it, begin to practice. And then when you're ready to go, join the team, but make a net contribution at that point, as opposed to being more of a dependent. And
it doesn't have to be animation.
No,
I would like more people just commenting on X.
Yes.
On your post. If we got more than 2 comments on your posts,
yes,
something might happen. I don't know.
Yes, absolutely.
Me, that's if you're not that technical, take your skills and write a nice review in Amazon about the books.
Right.
Pick through the books that you've written.
Right. Sure.
And write a review.
Right. Absolutely. There's so many different ways to contribute. And you can, for social media, you can be one who says, I don't want to have to post them, but I'll go search the news, find things that are interesting and related, make some copies, copy and paste from those news stories, and then give it to you, Will, and you can go or me for Facebook, and you for X, and we go post it. So somebody to do, just some of that homework. And there's lots of things like that. I've been derelict for the last week or so on the vlog. I think it's our most fun and entertaining way to communicate. It's just that I haven't kept up on my Facebook responsibility to have enough posted to really do one effectively, because I'm trying to stay ahead of this. And when you discover something that's profound as what we have just fallen into, you have a tendency to be just, you're focused on it. That's part of the whole thing. You want to be observant. You want to be responsive. You want to make a contribution. Let's go. Here's some really, really exciting stuff.
Oh, Craig, I respectfully have a different perspective. You're not derelict.
Okay.
You came across some profoundly important material that needed to be revealed.
Yes, and we're doing it. I mean, it's I think Kirk, you're probably under some meds, but in our texts, you say it's been this last few months have been the most exciting time we've spent together. Yeah, absolutely. It's been remarkable how fast that we're assimilating new information and growing and learning and putting more elements, more colors, more shading, more depth of understanding, more perspective to the picture.
Field the table.
Was painted. Yeah.
Field the table. I mean, you'll translate, and Rich, fire up the cameras. We're going live.
That's right. Oh gosh, it's sometimes it's literally moments from the translation and the resulting insight to firing up the cameras. And sometimes the cameras are on, and you're going through something and say, God, I'm going through this, but my heart's not in it because I don't understand it. And then you read something and say, oh, well, that makes sense. Now I can talk about it with some enthusiasm because I understand it. Yeah. That happened today in the Ocean Studio.
I mean, so you, Craig, Rich, and Leah, I think the word of the day, if I could just use another word, is indefatigable.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to look that one up.
Yeah, that he's got quite the vocabulary.
I can't even spell it. I can't look it up.
Look, I'm from the Bronx. I speak English very goodly. Come on.
Okay, there you go.
Thanks,
Dictionary. Look, but could you spell it? That was my problem. When the teacher said look it up, and I said, but I'm a crappy speller. Now what am I supposed to do?
That's why I have spell check.
Yeah, spell check. The nice thing about Googling things now is that if you misspell it, it will figure out a way to get you some point in the right direction anyway. So it's at least good from that point of view. It's a lot easier looking things up and trying to spell them.
Joe.
Hey.
Look there is Joe Page. Wow. So Mr. Page.
Yes, sir.
That translation tool that you have posted on our site is magnificent.
Wait till you see it now, and the glossary is up, and an admin tool
really
to manage all of it.
Yep. Oh wow!
Oh my goodness! I went to the site because what I'd asked you to do for me is that translation tool is so good that I wanted a link to it from the header bar, and you did it, and it takes you to it's marvelous because the way the translation works now is like before I came here, I wanted to refresh myself on Barber Sheath 2, second chapter of Genesis, and you can opt for the entire chapter, and then it just has every translation of every verse all the way through the chapter. But then if you want the context, which is what I really love, and the insights and the analysis of the words, all you do is click on the highlighted blue that describing where that translation is, and it takes you right to that text in one of the flip books. So now it's in context as well as having all of the translations one after another. And then if you're curious about a word, you click on the word and it opens a box that leaves you on that page rather than, Q Bible takes you to a whole nother page. Then you got to come back. It keeps you on the page and has a pop-up box that has the definition of that word. It's just
now
magnificent.
At the upper right, there's a glossary button that takes you to Kirk's hard work and the others that helped him.
Yeah. Wow.
And it's got the whole glossary with little buttons and stuff like that to go to each letter and see the words for each letter. And
thank you, Joe.
It is really outstanding. And, the timeline is beautiful. I know I need to do some videos that flesh it out a little more and add some copy and some other things to it. But the timeline it gives you what the timeline really needed to do for people is to go through here are the main events. And it does a beautiful job of walking you through the main events of God's story. I think our best outreach is our music. And you have a marvelous presentation of just the music. I've asked you for one more thing just because I think they are so spectacular. I think our team is doing the best job I've ever seen of it, which is those promotional pieces, little promotional videos, or sometimes they're just they're a graphic with some writing on it, but sometimes they're little short animations. But I think the promo pieces would be marvelous as a page in addition to the music page. You've be the first person that's ever figured out a way, at least that I've ever seen, to have a blog that is it's automatically curated from our Facebook and X feeds that puts them up every day. So if you look at go to the website and you want to follow along, you don't want to have to go to Facebook, and you want to follow along on what we're saying and writing and conveying in the news, there it is. There's a blog. And then there's the vlog, so that it follows these shows, and it starts with the most recent show is automatically highlighted, and then you can click on both shorts and longs, and they're all there. And then it takes you to our 12 different social media platforms. There's a lot on that site. And then you go to the books themselves. They're all ordered beautifully. They're three-dimensional. And on every book, you can choose to read it and a flip book, which are so much more interesting than the kind of the flat PDF. But if you want the PDF, that's there for you too. And if you prefer to, have one of these that you can, that was very smooth there, that you can hold in your hand. There we go. You can go to Amazon, and the link takes you directly to Amazon to buy the book, should that be your preference. And the site is beautiful. It's contemporary. It's intuitive. It plays beautifully on a phone, a tablet, on a PC. Joe, you did a great job.
Well, we just updated the translation pages too to be more responsive, so they look good on a tablet or smartphones. But the big gap right now is Google is not behaving with me on indexing our PDFs. So the Google search that I want to use has eluded me so far, but it will come. Okay. I will.
So you're talking about a topical search. So if you want to say, I want to know about Sadak, tell me the places where the word Sadak appears or something like that. It'll take you to them.
It'll search, we'll at least have a search for the books. So if you're just looking for a term, it'll use its fuzzy logic to say, well, that's a different spelling than this by a little bit, but they probably mean, these words as well. Okay. So the old search was crap at doing that, because it just, it was terrible. If you didn't type it perfectly, you weren't going to get a result.
Yeah. And, there's nothing as a search that is just intuitive. You almost have to have a way of saying, I'm looking for these three words all together, as opposed to them individually, because the old one, if you said, I want to know about upwelling deep sea water. So, for example, that was the impetus for the flood. And so I would like to know, okay, where did I write that? I'll write deep sea water. It'll take me right to it, but it'll do every place where the word deep was, every place where the word water was, every place, where sea was, and you'll never find it. You'd be on the 40th page before you found it. So, there's some things that would just make it more capable if you knew how the system was responding. And we didn't have that previously.
And the glossary and the translation features are just added. That's actually one of the things that you and I need to coordinate, which is right now it is only word by word. So the 3-word phrases and all that, we may want to give them, treat them as effectively words.
Yes.
Rename it from word to phrase or whatever.
Yes. Yep.
So each word individually would have its own placeholder and marker, but the phrase itself would have its own as well.
Yeah. And we've got a little work to do because there's prepositions, for example, ata, which means you, and second person masculine singular. You click on it right now and it says it's a verb, but doesn't define the verb, and it's not a verb. It's, it's a pronoun. So we have some that we're going to need a little fine tuning on. But you said that you have an admin
that's
tool.
That's the admin tool. So
you
it's
just
out of
put
my
out the
hands
admin
now.
tool. I'm looking at it right now, going, "This is really cool."
Yeah. Oh wow. So, and one of the things I was hoping to, we have, we're talking about delegating things. We have a gentleman that's part of our team that is spectacular on vocabulary word search, and that's Mike Beati. And if we were to sick him on the ones that aren't quite as accurate as they need to be, what a great use of somebody that really, really knows his stuff in that regard. And I know he has a job and everything else, but it would still be a real plus. But anyway, he could be dialed in on that admin tool to be able to do that as well. So it's pretty spectacular, Joe. Really, so much better than it ever was or ever could even imagine that it being. It's beautiful. So you just came back from celebrating being a data farmer, and with your partners in your data farm, and hobnobbing up there in a luxury box for a Hornets game. Is that
I
true?
missed it though. The day before was the Pistons at Charlotte, and there was a fight where 8 people got ejected. So not only did I miss the Pistons, I missed a heck of a game.
Oh yeah, that would have been fun because as a Detroit fan, growing up in Detroit, you would have loved that.
Yes, exactly. But quite honestly, I was so busy being chatted at by all these vendors that I only saw the last 19 seconds of the game.
The game anyway.
Yeah.
For those that don't know, Joe closed a deal with his partner on a data farm, Winston-Salem area. Is that it?
Winston-Salem Data Center. Yep.
Yeah. Right. And now working to maximize its potential, and it's just a tremendous opportunity for everybody. There's very few things that are as flush in our economy right now as data centers. Would you say that is like in terms of inventory and data centers that are underutilized, it's like 0.1% of it's not almost nothing.
Yeah, it's almost nothing. It's 0.7% to 0.3%. And if you get into
can you imagine that being a vacancy rate? It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So you build it, they will come. You have it, they will come, and you were able to acquire this one in terms of all the support for it on really pennies on the dollar. There's an existing client, very flush bank that is currently the tenant. They'll be the tenant for the next year, and then you'll be able to put others in place that will raise the revenue. It's really a marvelous opportunity, either to be just a cash generator or something to experiment with and build on, or to leverage and sell. So you've been chasing that for a long time. So I'm happy that it has all happened. And your spare time, you build us a website. And by the way, that was the part-time job because you've become our publisher.
Yes, exactly. It was amazing how difficult it was to get it took me 1/3 as much time to do all of this translation glossary admin tool as it did to do the books to get them ready for Amazon. Oh, it's Microsoft Word and everything.
Yes. Microsoft Word is a very flaky system that is it does things that it should not do, and it's not repeatable in the ways that it does things, and makes it exceedingly difficult to work with in every possible way. And Amazon is very peculiar about what they will accept and don't accept, and their rules for submission, and so it's no easy task to do it. And you look at the result, though. I mean, these are absolutely beautiful. So it's the drop dead gorgeous result that you were able to create, and internally the layout of the books is so much better. The margins, the new Towrah font,
Oh yeah,
having the chapters and volume name up on the opposing pages, every bit of it. The fit is so much better, cleaner, more professional than it ever was. And so, I bought 4 or 5 copies of all 35 books, and some upwards of 10. I'm going to certainly rearrange all this backdrop with all of the new ones. I've realized, though, that with the white covers and with the glare of these lights, you really can't tell if they're the old covers or new covers. But we're going to have all, well, you can see the one that's got the scroll behind me is a new cover, for example, because it's open and facing, and it has the menorah, and of course, all the images were changed throughout all of this. So
they're a little bigger. The new ones, that you can tell the images are bigger.
Yes. Yeah. And that was your most recent run through on all of them, was to make the images. And I appreciate you doing that. We had a lot of conversations about what we were looking to achieve. Leah did a lot of work on creating and finding images. You made a gazillion of the images for us. And, collectively, I think we fine-tuned something where our presentation, our spacing, our layout, the graphics, the kerning is things that most people wouldn't even think about. But it needs to be done, and it had to be done right. It had to look credible when we're representing God, for crying out loud. So you can't exactly cut corners and say, oh, well, that's good enough. No, it was important to get it right.
That kind of reminds me, though, I got it. Kirk, you sent me, your images of your sketches for the font, for the letters. I'm going to try to parse through those and put them in the glossary with each letter, at the kind of the top part.
With perks, yeah.
But I might need some more sketches from you to make it really artsy and awesome.
Yeah. We for some reason we don't have a volume for Kirk, but audio from him. But the fact is that he is listening, and I think he's got to be thrilled that his glossary is finally up, and that we'll be able to use the sketches and have more sketches, because the new Towrah font is beautiful, and I think it's much more symbolic of the thoughts that it was designed to convey, and we were able to begin with that lead tablet, and any one of the letters that was on that lead tablet, we paid attention to how different they were than others. And there are a lot of things we learned and looking at, there is a script in Egypt that was very similar to this. There's this Phoenician script that is very similar to this. And there are stone engravings all around that have symbols that are very similar. And so we were able to look at all of them, and things like what we always thought was just a ram's head, because of the head wasn't rectangular but more triangular. But it doesn't have the ram's horns. It has the yoke of an ox, which is a bull. It is both a bull and a ram. Both of those thoughts are being conveyed by that image, and that a tent peg can't be a tent peg without a loop for the rope. Otherwise, it just slide right off. And so the tent peg that was used for the wall, we knew couldn't be right. And then we found all of those evidences of the wall with the circle on the top of it serving as a tent peg. Yep. So, I mean, this wasn't happenstance that we just happened to go through this and say, wouldn't it be nice if? And we thought about the design of the plows and how they actually worked, what the right proportions were of the hand, what would be a much more appropriate depiction of the man of the hay.
And also thinking about when the letters are sitting next to a variance of other letters. Sometimes they look great by themselves, and they're sitting next to a really tall letter, and they just look like crap, or vice versa.
Yeah, we had to recognize things like the door of the Deleth was super squatty. it came to the ankle level of the hay of the man, but it's a door for a person to walk through. So we changed the dimension so that it looked like a door as opposed to a rat hole.
You flipping it upside down was, I think, a good one too.
Yeah. So it used to be the threshold was at the top, not at the bottom, right? So that you'd start from the foundation. So we made the teeth more realistic in teeth, the head much more realistic as a head, the plow more realistic, the arm properly sized. And then we realized, that they weren't drawing these letters on line sheets. And therefore there are letters that should go down lower and some that should go up higher, just like we have in English. In English, we have lots of letters that go above a certain line and others that go below what would be a line. This is all freehand. These should do the same, but they should do so logically. If something is a tent peg, it should sit down lower than if it's a doorway to the house, which should be up higher. And, and so we did. We went through all the letters and created spacing. And then we realized that the Paleo-Hebrew, the early Semitic, as it was called, font, had very odd spacing after letters. So if you were writing in it, you'd have a space that was gargantuan or no space at all. And so there was no consistency. So you changed the kerning between all of the letters and created also there were things where the letters were written with like really thin little lines and others were big fat lines. Well, you be consistent.
Yeah, you were always going in and changing one letter to be 10 point, another one to be 12 point just to get the
all right. Yeah. So as I was using it, I had to go from 8 point to 12 point on each individual letter just to have them look decent beside each other. And now we've sized them all so that in 12 point, they're perfect with 12 point font that is around them. The only thing I don't like, and we've talked about it, is that with the new font, unfortunately, to make it easy to change it over for something that was already written, so you could copy and paste from one to the other, the same keystrokes off the keyboard were used for the that early Semitic font. And things like the Yod, which should be a Y, isn't a Y. The Hey, which is should be an H and it's not. The LF should be each of the letters, not all of them, but many of the letters, you got to say, oh my God, what in the world did they pick? I can't remember that. And unless you're working it all the time, it'd be wonderful to have the letters actually, the Aleph be an A, and the Beth I think really is a B. And the Che would be nice as a C, and the each of the letters to be the most logical adaptation of it. The Wa being a W. It would be nice to because I'm finding myself all the time because with the other one, what I used to do is I used to just go to my chart and an introduction to God, and I would copy and paste into the document that I was writing. And so that was the only, I would never type it. I would just copy and paste it. With this new one, I never copy and paste. I just type it in. And the only difficult in typing it in is that some of the letters are just senseless the way that they're keyed. But anyway, the reason we're talking about all this is that I want everybody to go there, use these things, download them. The font is there on resources. There's a download. To download a font so that you can use it is exceedingly easy. You download it and then click install and you own it. It is your font. Go with it.
Yeah, I was just thinking maybe a kind of hybrid compromise is all caps would be one letter mapping and a lowercase would be a different one for that.
Yeah,
font.
that would work. That would work so that you could do a copy and paste of one to the other, but actually you could type it intelligently.
Yeah. So if you're all in caps, that might be the Semitic early mappings. And if you're a lowercase, it's whatever ones you desire. Something like that.
If you could do that, that would make it even better. So that it is logical and makes sense, but it's such a wonderful tool for us. And I hope that in the next 3 to 4 weeks, I can get you a new book, Coming Home 4. It'll be, come out about 800 pages again. And I've got to finish my translation, my 10th translation of the 89th Mizmowr. Now that I know that I write it, I'm taking it, and it's just becoming much more sensible to me to understand what's being said by the author of the Mizmowr and what's being said by God and how they play off of each other. So I want to finish that, and then I've got some other gaps to fill, and we'll blend the 2 books that I've been writing into one, and we'll have a new book we can publish. And then there's so much else to go. We just lost Dowd, my good friend Joe. Maybe we'll get him.
Oh my gosh, Joe's here! Look, and then we got, hey Joe, we got a new book, and hey Joe, can you change the font? And hey Joe, can you? Joe's like, okay, I got.
Well, go. That's we've gone 2.5 hours, and the reason I went ahead and had all these conversations like that is that I think it's important to know, for others to know. Joe's our publisher. The fact that and these books are absolutely beautiful. They are so much better than they used to be. And Joe, he did that for us. Mm-hmm. And that the website now is magnificent in what it does. There's so much performance there that it's important to know that it's there. And the more we talk about how we use it and how it can be improved, that's the purpose of this kind of a program, is to talk about it and walk people through it and let them know what's there and how we use it and how perhaps they should be using it. So, I think these are really good questions. I mean, and discussion. Like there was a post the other day that was done by the team, and it had the old Moabite stone letters. Well, we can do better than that. We have better than that. Mm-hmm. Let's do better than that. The tools are there. Let's use them. It's kind of like God giving us the answer, and we decide we don't want to use it. We now have wonderful tools in this regard. And what you'll find too, Will, is you take over some of this social media, is that it automatically feeds into the website. Yeah. It's so cool to be able to watch a YouTube video that is been posted, and you can click on it. We don't have to store it. We don't have to provide the bandwidth to it, and yet you never leave our website as you watch it.
Yeah.
And this is really marvelous kinds of inventiveness that make the sites wonderful. And the fact that it's sized for all devices is also wonderful. We have to realize that while most people come to a website via their phone, it's in the range of 80% of people that still use a laptop or a computer. And they do so, particularly on a site that's as rich with information as what we have. People are going to access it both ways. And we have to be prepared to present the information and attractively, intelligently, usefully, both ways.
We need to figure out, though, the vertical thing that's cutting you off right above your nose and only shows 2 of us on the side. Right now, that's what people are seeing on the site when it's live. So,
on the website?
Yep.
The website presentation, because it sizes it differently.
Yep.
And when it's not live, then it goes back to the normal format that we're in. So I didn't even know on our site that we had the live feed. I thought it had to be processed by YouTube before it was you were able to pick it up. So you actually have the live feed on yadayah.com.
Yeah. The homepage, when it shows, I believe it's right now. That's how I tried to program it.
He's talking about He's talking about the phone format, the vertical phone format. And that's something that we have just, we would have to set it up in StreamYard to do that.
As a matter of fact, Joe, between Kevin and Rich, and particularly Kevin here, there are options, and we can provide a feed. My guess is, because one of the lovely things is we use StreamYard as our source. You know that because you were here when we were setting that up, and we live stream to about 10 different platforms, but you get to choose. StreamYard got more sophisticated, and now it's possible to choose the format for each site. For example, Instagram and TikTok has got to be that phone vertical mode, but it can be landscape mode for they preferred at YouTube, and then the shorts go back to phone vertical mode. So there's a lot of flexibility actually with the feed. Correct?
Yes. So we can make changes. There we go.
The aspect ratios and
like that,
and the like. Yeah. See,
that's what needs redone.
Oh, so
That's what
okay.
you're seeing.
So we'll have to figure out a way to avoid that. That's probably not. I'm not saying I'm the most handsome guy in the world, but that is certainly not my best look.
So. Well, let's look at this.
Yeah, so
I was just wondering if you turn your phone sideways, Joe, does it show the landscape presentation?
No,
if you turn
because the website homepage actually shows.
Look at there's the website.
Yeah, it actually shows it even though it's full.
Well,
like go down a little bit on that website. You'll see us live.
Oh, let me get over.
Go down a little bit. So there you see.
Oh, there we are. Yeah, there we are with the old cutoff nose. Yeah, yep. Watch on.
There.
Yes.
But what's cool?
Translations.
Translations.
Now, pick Bar-Reshaped. Oh, look at the glossary there too.
Oh wow.
Oh, and there's the alphabet. So you can present the glossary by alphabetic order.
Click it and then scroll down.
Hey, so Joe, you know what I'd like to do is when you have time, why don't we do a program where you and I will walk through the website. We'll talk about all the things that it does. So we'll give a tutorial on our website. Can we do that?
Yeah, it keeps going down. You see all the words.
That's a wonderful idea. That is a wonderful idea.
Look at that. Wow. It's got the Babylonian square Hebrew. It's got the Yada Torah font. It's got a Strong's number on it. It has a transliteration on it, and it has a part of speech designation, and then a glossary definition.
And also how many times that word is used within yada yada.
That's amazing.
That is neat.
Hey, Joe,
good work, man. We need to get you a promotion.
Yahowah singing "Who's Your Daddy" right now. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, this is cool.
Oh yeah, it's
amazing. Wow.
Joe's gonna get the red carpet arrival. He's gonna have the Putin arrival in Alaska where Trump rolled out the red carpet. We've got rolling out the blue carpet for you, man.
I think you need to give him a raise. Go ahead and double his pay.
Well, we have an idea for an animated background on the header too. So,
that would be wonderful. But look how beautiful that is compared to where we were, and even right now the header is quasi animated with the. It looks like it's a blue cloth that is reflecting various angles of light. Oh my.
So Kirk, what we need,
and you're actually spending more time with my wife. In fact, if we were to take Joe and Kevin, I know you guys are spending more time with my wife than I am, because she's decided that it's important that the branding be consistent, that we look very Yahwish, and that we make God proud in the way we're presenting all of this. And I know she's spending a lot of time with you, Joe, and she's spending a lot of time with you, Kevin, as well. Getting that done. She's the unsung hero behind all of this. Although she came out of the closet here with the last Mashal, and but with the discoveries that I made over this last week, I've given her the cover again that she wants. So she now has the acclaim without the responsibility. It's the best of all worlds, but she's making huge contributions to all of this. It's really, I'm proud of what we've done. Thank you.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Oh,
Kirk, that page with the glossary, that's where we need your fancy artistic sketches to add that to the side of that little text right up for each letter.
Yeah, I think Kirk is, even though he's heavily medicated at the moment, he's in the state of tranquility, saying, "Oh my goodness, I had never thought it was going to turn out that beautifully. I had no idea it was going to be that well presented." And now all of that effort of all of that time over those years, and now I see it. It's somebody else that needs credit for this too, because she made a huge contribution to this almost every evening for over a year time. Mary.
Yeah, Mary. Yep.
Mhm.
Believe me, I know.
Mary. Yeah. Mary has been exceedingly devoted, and Mary and Leah, and I walk into Leah's office, she's talking to Mary and telling me all the time how great a relationship they're developing. So that was a collective effort. A lot of people made a real effort to get that done. And, we're clearly going to have and already have the most robust presentation of Yahweh's message, his name, in his message to us, from translations to commentary to vlogs to blogs to glossaries to timelines, all of it. It's and printed books as well. It's absolutely gorgeous.
wow.
And it's equally spectacular on the insides. The presentation, it's just
Oh yeah, wait, that was
awesome.
Yeah, I haven't seen because some of the tinting of those letters. That was one I haven't really seen.
Yeah, I've paid
they were
attention to them. They were way too light before. What we did is, for those that don't know, is that Yahweh's text, when Yahweh provides a message and we're translating it, it's always in bold, and then the amplification in the Hebrew word is not in bold, and then the Hebrew word is in italics, and it was kind of a very unique way of presenting amplified translation. In fact, it is unique to us. No one else has ever done that way before. But we didn't want to give Paul and the Christian New Testament or Muhammad and the Quran equal footing. So we dialed back the density of the letters if it was New Testament versus Quran, so that it wasn't nearly as bold and pronounced as Yahweh's testimony. We dimmed them down, but in previous books we took them way to the point they were hard to read, and so it's a lot of just little subtle things in there that I think make a difference.
Yeah, they all look good when they're in color on the PDFs or in the flip book, but then when they went to print in grayscale, they just washed out.
And while we can print the books in color, a book that is $15 in black and white and reads just fine becomes $60 in color.
Yep, there's a lot more.
At cost.
Yeah, it costs. So it's a huge difference. It's not worth it.
And some of them actually weren't available in other countries in color. Like the Book Vault ones and stuff like that. They could only do black and white for most of the world. Yeah. So.
And because if you're looking at the flip book or a PDF, you can still see color, but in the printed version, they're just prohibitively expensive if we do color, and there's not enough to be gained by it. So, lots of choices, even standardization of when we chose a color for the NILT or the KJV or that sort of thing. Now it's all consistent all the way through. There are no variations. It's really beautifully done. So thank you. So we finally find a useful a use for somebody that's an AI data farmer.
I was say it's good to flex my programming muscles because I'm more of a real estate developer and financier these days than I am a programmer. So,
but once upon a time, you were amongst the most acclaimed programmers. You and I built. I conceived. You built a website with dynamic generation of pages from a database in a multimedia fashion that 15 years ago was better than Amazon is today, with a whole commerce engine tied to it. So you've done some pretty extraordinary things in your programming life.
Yeah.
So it's kind of fun to see you back in this role, and it's fun for me to be able to work with you. You know, we've been together as friends and colleagues for a very, very long time. Developed
30 years.
30 years, yeah. A great relationship over that time. And I think longevity in a relationship and productivity in it after all that time, and to have the kind of camaraderie that we do, it's a really excellent modeling for other people to see that fellows can do that with one another. And, you know, if you look at this group, everybody has been around a long time. You're the only one that I've been around with 30 years. I've been with you twice as long as I've been with Leah. But you know, Dr. Jeff down there is in the 22-year range, and Kirk is 21 years, I think. So JB, we've been together probably 18 to 20 years. Yeah, 20 some odd years. Oh, by the way, I think somebody brought up the other day that some of the books that you have on your site are really old.
Yeah, it's on the agenda.
Yeah, through that cloud, you have access. They'll give you access to it. Joe can give you access. Rich can give you. Kevin can get you access to it. But you have access to all of the latest and greatest versions and covers and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So it's
I just uploaded the most recent covers to Dropbox. So
okay. All right. Well, we've gone now 3 hours as opposed to our normal 2+ hours. So, Joe, I am going to say thank you for joining us. Let's do a show just on all of the machinations of the website and what it will do, and get people more familiar with it, because it's such a great tool, not only to share, but for us. It's I mean, I go there all the time for translations and for things that, you know, because the mind worked pretty well, but to remember everything out of, 25 to 30,000 pages over 24 years, it's nice to have a way to look things up and say, what did I say about that? When did I translate that? What was the last version? It's so handy to have it. And the fact that it links to the existing books, it makes it really, really easy and exceedingly helpful. So it's a wonderful celebration of progress. Thank you, Joe. And thank you, Kevin, for being with us. Again, we'll do a blog on the blog sometime in the next few days, hopefully no later than Tuesday or Wednesday of next week, if that works for you. And we'll pick a time, and I'll load up Facebook with things to talk about. And JB, always great to have you here. Mr. I've got a word for everything down there in the lower left-hand corner. I'm going to say that the greatest contribution to this show ever has been the mental stimulation of sexuality. We're going to hang our hat on that and say, boy, our program didn't get any, it has no chance of ever exceeding that moment. You could see I was glowing from ear to ear on, but because it was so perfect for the text. Here's Dowd said, I'm in love. And he's gone from the toxicity of alcohol and depression to the mental and cerebral stimulation of love. And we have an medical explanation as just how that works. So we'll thank you for being part of this. Looking forward to working with you in social media, having you part of these shows. And feel free, when you're doing this, you're such a polite fellow. When you're in a program with a man that's as verbose as I am in a bull, and I'll stop occasionally, but you just barge in, man. You barge in, and it's good, so wherever you want to disagree or agree. Some of the best program we ever had was back in the day with JB and I, when we find areas we disagreed on.
Yeah.
Because the way we handled our disagreements, I thought made for a stimulating conversation, because what we're trying to say is that we're here to learn, and the last thing you want to be is dogmatic. You don't want to claim to have all the answers. You want to claim to be searching for all of the answers and to sharing them when you know them. And I just thought our disagreements were as much fun as anything else.
Well, the whole point of the classic argument is to arrive at the truth, right? I mean, that's
right.
Ideally, that's the way a courtroom is set up. You have the two extremes, argue it out, and you can arrive through that friction. You can arrive at justice, at the right answer.
Yes.
William, if I can just say, Will, I think you're the nicest, wisest guy in Jersey.
That could be. That could be, Jeff.
That could be. Yeah.
It's not a easy threshold.
Not a tall bar to cross over.
It's pretty easy to hurdle that one.
Yeah. When I said I'm the the most comfortable tool in Yah's hand, that's not exactly bragging, because there haven't been a lot of them available over the years. When God said, "Oh, that one, I think I could use that one. I'll take him." It's just not a lot of those going around. Just ultimately being responsive is what causes it to all fall in place and happen. Yeah. So thank you all. Thank you, Rich, for dialing it all up and getting us in this position, actually taking us to the website on this one and beginning to show a little bit of what Joe has done. Cutting edge stuff. And we watch a lot of YouTube blogs. That's kind of my go-to in the evening when I'm winding down. I just want to learn on subjects that are interesting to me. Having so much fun coming to understand how God was really right, that the earth is this protective enclosure that's conducive to life, and how profoundly important that was, and why we're being brought back to that condition before we're being released into what is a very, very toxic universe. And the education and the trust that we have to develop to earn that responsibility, and to have discovered that and then blend it with what I'm learning. It's a marvelously mentally stimulating thing. So nice to have you back, Joe. We're going to say good night. We'll do a show on the website, and then we can do shows on other things, because I think in particular you have been someone who came in as an exceeding skeptic because of your experience with the Roman Catholic Church and religion and all. And so when first exposed to some of the concepts that we were learning from Yahowah, they just resonated. It was like the fact that there are three destinations or outcomes for human souls, and how that plays, and how we just learned that God caused the fall of man, why he did so, and what our opportunity is, and what he's looking from us to do, and how just comfortable that is with reasonable, logical understanding of who God really must be. So we could do a program where we walk through those, because it's fun to do it personally on the phone. Why not share it?
Right.
Yeah. All right. So good night, Rich. Good night, Joe. Good night, Kevin. Good night, JB. Good night, Will. And good night, Dr. Jeff. Happy Shabbat to one and all.
Shabbat shalom.
Shalom.
See y'all.